What's up, everyone? Welcome to Normal America Show. I'm your host, robnoerr. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. I haven't seen you since yesterday. I've had quite an exciting day. I'm in a good mood, but we put a while ago. We put a new washer in our bathroom upstairs. It's right outside our bedroom, and I woke up this morning. Apparently, the hose came off the back of the washer as it was running. So it had like 3 inches of water all through my bathroom and through sort of the entryway into the bathroom, the carpet and stuff. So we had to rip all the carpet up, and we're going to get it replaced. We planned on replacing the carpet anyways, but we're going to get it replaced with, I think, some like waterproof laminate, seeing as how we got a crazy little 2-year-old maniac spilling stuff all over the place. So not the end of the world, but a mess, and it kind of sucked into my day in ways that I wasn't anticipating when I woke up, but that's all right. I got to hang out with my wife and my son, so it was cool. Also, Hank's really into racing now. Like, he likes, like, when you're in the yard, on your mark, get set, go. So I ended up just happen chance showing him a video of, like, track and field. And he loved it. And then he liked horse racing and dog racing. But what he asked for next, I have to admit, my son, already the genius, he wanted to watch monkey racing. And I was like, yeah, that sounds amazing. I would tune into some monkey racing, but unfortunately, unable to find any organized monkey races. So any aspiring entrepreneurs out there, if you could somehow set up some sort of monkey races, you'd at least have 2 viewers, me and my son. So, but no, since I left you last, I told you exactly what would happen. Right again, I said the Devon Archer stuff will be out of the news because the Trump indictment will be coming by the end of the week, probably before I do this debate tomorrow. And that's exactly what's happened. So they're even writing articles about it. I think it was USA Today was like, the Trump indictment overshadows week of negative stories for Biden. No shit. You don't say so. Look, don't get down about this shit. You know, it sucks. I'm not someone, I believe I'm religious. I think at the end of the day, if you're a good person, you'll be rewarded in this life or the next. I don't talk about it too much, but by no means do I feel that we're guaranteed to win. Life's not a storybook. It's not that, like, well, at the end of the day, corruption is outed and the good guy always wins. That's not what happens. And every empire falls eventually. Are we there? I don't know. But at the end of the day, the collapse of it's not going to be so quick and brutal that you won't be able to live life. What's most important is, can you live with yourself? Can you live with your family? Did you know you were doing the right things? And it doesn't help to sit around and fret. I try to look at the positive. I'm someone who never I got the old, like, Bill Belichick mentality where it's like a win's never as good as it seems and a loss is never as bad as it seems. And, one way to look at this is that it's historical, sort of these indictments of, the candidate for the opposition party. But, I mean, probably what's worse is, like, remember that meme guy that got arrested and is looking at, like, 20 years for putting memes up? Remember that? How about the non-violent January 6th people, memas and whatever, they're still thrown in prison? And all the deplorable things that are happening to them. So, I mean, this stuff's been happening, and, I'm sure we'll get into it tonight. We'll talk about Trump's indictment. I much don't give a shit. It just proves what I've always said. 2 possibilities. I guess there's 3 possibilities of how this goes. 1, it successfully stymies Trump or anyone else that would challenge the establishment for ever doing so. And we go back to the same old 2-party, but really 1-party system that we've had my entire adult life. Second, it wakes people up to how corrupt this system is. And there starts to be a groundswell of people, independents, that join forces to start to say enough is enough. Or third, it just accelerates a tit for tat, which I'm fine with too. Where it's, eventually a reasonable person on our side gets elected and says, we're going to jail our opposition. We're going to do all kinds of insane stunts. We see state attorney generals in red states start doing the same thing. I'm fine with that too. That's fine by me. But at the end of the day, I know that I'm trying to do what was right. And, Yeah, I hear you, Crisco. They do cover up everything. There's a lot to say about the Trump stuff. Cernovich was talking about this today. I saw on Twitter. I was looking a little, you know, was like, hey, Trump did bring a lot of this on himself. And that's absolutely true. Not just because his behavior, as far as did he do things in a ham fisted way that opens him more easily for legal attacks. Not just that. They were always going to find a way to arrest him. Don't worry. He could have sat in his basement like Joe Biden and they would have found a reason to arrest him. But because he surrounded himself with terrible people. And Cernovich was saying, just like I was saying, I was screaming my head off in 2018, 2019, 2020, saying that Trump was surrounding himself with bad people, that he wasn't outing the corruption, that people like Bill Barr were there to cover up the corruption. I was right. I was right the entire time, as we find out more every day. And I told everyone after the election, I said, listen, Trump will now, he underestimated how aggressive the establishment would be at making sure that no potential outsider would garner power again. He didn't respect how far they were willing to go, and now he'll pay the price. The rest of his life, he and his family will be dogged by criminal allegations, etc. That's just the way it is. Thanks, neighbor guy. I appreciate it. Yeah, maybe Trump's out for revenge now. I don't know. I thought DeSantis' comments was shit. It knocked him down a big notch. I didn't read the indictment, but I'll issue some reforms. Sorry. Look, I know Vivek has said stuff in his book and stuff that I don't like. And maybe Vivek's a plant, but at least he's saying the right things. I will disband the FBI. Yep. That's it. That's my vote. Him or Trump. That's it. I'm not going to listen to DeSantis do the old Mitch McConnell. Well, we'll write some strongly worded letters. Instead of that $5 billion the FBI wanted for their new building, they're only getting $3 billion. What are you doing, man? Hey, come here. Come here. Hi. Where's your mom? Where are we? Here, wait. Don't do that. Don't do that. Dad's on camera talking to people. Yeah. What are you up to? Here, wait. Stay over here. Stay over here. Yeah. Who is that? It's all right. Yeah. Our baby gate going up the stairs because of the mess we had with the water. We took it down, and apparently Hankster shrewdly entered my office here, huh? Can you go down with Mom? Dad's trying to do a show. Come on, let's go get Can you go with Mom? Can you say bye, everyone? Bye. Okay. Good job. No, don't do that. What are you doing, you silly man? That controls the lights. It changes the color in the lights. Hello. No, it's not a phone. You can take it if you want. Thank you, buddy. Thanks for coming in. Dorothy, can you go with Mom? Thank you. Thanks, Mom. Yeah. Go ahead, Dort.
Come on, Dort.
I love you. Thank you. I'll shut the door here.
Downstairs. It's okay. I'll put the gate back up.
Yeah, I know, but I still want to shut. I'm loud. I'll be right back. I'm going to shut the door here. I love you, buddy. I'll see you soon, okay? There's so many weirdos out there. I hesitate to put them on camera, which is a shame because he is the cutest damn kid you'd ever see. And it also makes streaming difficult because I'll tell you right now, it is the top experience of my life hanging out with him. Every day is just something amazing that happens. I absolutely love it. Kicker keeps supposed to start at 6 p.m. So I'm actually going to go dark here and try to join. I think I'm just supposed to join the video chat in Discord. So you're going to lose me visually here for a second. And we'll try to do that. So also, I'm going to mute the audio in case anyone's shouting anything that's TOS. Oh, shit. You know what? I just thought of this. Everyone who's watching me on Twitch is going to have to go over to YouTube or Kick or Rumble, seeing as how this is on Destiny's channel. So I'll put all my links. I do apologize. I just thought of that. And these pricks are trying to get me taken down on Twitch anyway. So it is what it is. You'll have to go to one of those other platforms. I do apologize for that. I am really sorry about that. So if you're on Twitch, you'll have to go to one of those other platforms. So, all right, I'm gonna leave you here for a second. Then I'll end the Twitch stream in a little bit here. But we'll see you guys in a second. All right, you can still hear me, but let's see. Boom, 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 boom. What's this guy want? Fabian's gonna be here. Okay. And so, you guys can still hear me, right? I have no idea where we're supposed to go. Um, Sorry that it's dark here. The instructions were not very good. It said join any video or voice call on his Discord. The problem is there's like 50 of them. I never realized that because I'm not really on Destiny's Discord. So I don't know if they're just going to pull me in from one of these or where I ask for that. So we'll just wait and we'll figure it out. Are you going to be able to watch after the show? Yeah, it'll be on not on Twitch, but it'll be on Rumble and YouTube. So, um, so yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. What was I going to do here? It's something I was going to do. Oh, okay. So yeah, if you're on Twitch, again, I apologize. If you're watching on Twitch, if you're just joining, if someone could stick around in the Twitch chat, if someone pops in and just say, "Hey, go head over to YouTube or Kick or Rumble," I would really appreciate it because this is occurring on Destiny's channel. I don't think you're allowed to stream it on Twitch. So I'm going to end this Twitch video. If someone could stick around there and redirect people, I'd really appreciate it. I really would. So thank you all. In that Twitch video. So it should be ended now. And we're streaming elsewhere. And we'll see. So no, I don't do that bushcraft. I don't want to. I don't want to work with Destiny on a weekly basis. I wouldn't mind working with some lefty, maybe him or anyone, doing like a crossfire type show once a week. But oh my god, this I have no fucking clue what's going on here. It looks like it's going to be a shit show. I don't know what I was what's to be expected. I thought it was going to be like 8 people and then one by one they kick people up. But maybe it's like they bring people on for like 5 minutes at a time. I've seen them done like that too. I don't know. whatever, we'll just get this over with, and then I can talk about what I want on my channel. I don't know how late I plan on streaming anyways. I mean, I'll go for a little while, obviously, but I do have an awesome son that I would like to hang out with. Um, God. It's like just like so I'm in like some random chat, I guess, with Destiny fans, or maybe it's the people that's going to be on here, and I don't know. Sounds like we're talking drama, which I'm not really interested in. So, uh, I'm no clue. It's one thing I was proud of is I always tried when I was hosting a panel or anything like that. I always tried to make it as easy as possible for the people that were joining. Like, so I like to be there a half hour before in case anyone had any questions, wanted to do sound checks. If anyone had any tech problems, to do my best to be able to help them. Um, you know, I don't know why it's not done like that. I guess people just, you know, don't care about that aspect of it as much as me. Maybe it's because I'm a boomer. I'm an older person. I don't know, but like a lot of times you join these things and it's like it almost never starts on time, and it's just sort of like half-assed, like yeah, we'll figure it out. I don't know, but it looks like maybe general is over. Looks like I'm really important's gonna be here. Is he gonna stay in his bubble? Should I give him the business tonight? That'll be fun. Oh, Trump's indicted again, and all blah 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 blah. By the way, I would be shocked if I get to stick around long enough to talk about Biden and Devon Archer. They won't want to hear about that. It'll be Trump, 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 Trump. Any chance the arena panel will make a comeback? Yeah, there's a chance. I just got to get my life in order. Like, I'm finally going back to a regular work schedule. So I got some like house things, obviously, that got rushed here. I got to redo the flooring here in my house. But once I get that taken care of, we'll see. Maybe I'll put together some more of those shows. I don't know how well that show fits on the brand of the Crucible, if I'm honest. I think the Crucible is really focused on more of red pill stuff and sort of infighting with right wing communities. Not really my cup of tea. I don't really have anything to add to that. So I don't know if they want a politics show, panel debate show on there. I just don't know. I mean, I'm sure Andrew, who's a decent guy, would let me, but let's see. Hey, what's up? Yeah, I'm here, man. Just waiting to see what I have no idea what this thing's about. So do they bring us in one by one, or is it like like just a regular panel that they kick people off one at a time? Okay. Well, whatever the case is, it won't be fair, and I don't give a shit. That's all right. Like I never put stock in any of this shit, anyways. But yeah, I mean, there's no like I remember when I was doing the show with John Burke, he was talking about giving out a cash prize based on audience voting. That's so bad. It's such a bad idea. It's like, oh, you'll just get a bunch of big streamers and they'll win every time. They could not even talk and they'll win. And he's like, we'll have people vote before or after, and then whoever is the highest percentage. And I was like, well, you can't do that either, because I'll have my wife vote for me before, and then three of her friends vote for me after, and now I just went up 300%. I'm like, that's not going to work either. So there's no fair way to do that sort of stuff. I think it's just entertainment, but
Because I was in show choir all throughout high school, and we were like second or third or first in the nation, depending upon the competition that we were going to. No, yeah, I was in a pretty we spent like $20,000 like every session for our choreographer and shit. Like it was pretty intense. And I had to take a lot of dance classes because my white ass could not dance. But I mean, it just is what it is. I took a lot of jazz and hip hop classes, and tap and swing dance. But anyways, god damn that darkness over there. Fix your lighting.
Me?
It's
Yeah.
my fucking.
So like,
It's the gain on my camera. But go ahead.
yeah. So what would happen would be like there would always be one or two people that would do this thing called armography, right? Where you would have like 4 or 5 people in the front that would do like legitimate tap dancing or legitimate swing dance, and things like that. And then you would have a row of people that were just doing arms that matched like what was going on. And so it looked okay, but if you were just judging based off of the art, you would immediately be like, get these people out of here. They suck because these other people are doing real dance. But the thing is that if you do armography, you can put your best singers on armography and they never run out of breath dancing. So it sounds better, and you can never get points deducted for obvious mistakes. And so because the systems usually work with everyone starts with a perfect score and then you get points deducted, the people that do this lame ass armography shit that's not that good tend to do better in the competitions, because it's just the way that the system is set up. And so it's like when you take a subjective thing like that and then you try and put objective metrics over it, those objective metrics they never work with the subjective experience. And debate is like that too.
Debate in college, like I did it and then I judged it for years as well. Like you have this type of debate I did was policy debate. So you pick a winner and a loser. It's 2 teams of 2, 2 on 2. But then you also have individual accolades, individual speaker points. So the way that worked was, generally speaking, the better teams usually won. The cream rose to the crop.
Yeah.
So, but the speaker points were a crapshoot. So, for example, let's say you were a team that was a black nationalist team and you weren't winning very much, but this was your speech. The isms of our society have taken the lives of our men for too long. Bam, you got perfect speaker points. You lost the round, but perfect speaker points because a bunch of lefty judges were like, oh my God, that tugged on my heartstrings so much. And so you would have these teams that were like 1 in 5, but they won the speaker awards every time because speaker awards were more of like artistic, right? It wasn't really like as trying to like scientifically break down who won the round. So, it was a weird sort of mix of both. Now, the truth is any debate that you're judging, even if you're trying to like use a standardized way of judging it, you get 100 different judges in the room. You're going to have 100 different decisions anyway.
Nowadays, it's not really the speaker points, right? Because nowadays, if you make the critical argument, then you can make the judges are now accepting that your argument is that the argument shouldn't be allowed because racism is a bigger deal. Therefore, we can dismiss with the argument, and whoever proves that racism is wrong, even though that has nothing to do with the topic, can kind of win.
Yeah. I mean, it was like that when I was there as well. So you had a topic, the same topic every year. And the topics would be weird. Like, it sounds weird to everyone here. It would be like, resolve, the United States federal government should substantially reduce its subsidies in one of the following 5 areas. And then when you were affirmative, which was half the time, you had to have a plan that defended that topic. And the negative didn't necessarily have to negate the topic. They just had to negate that plan, right? If your plan didn't do that, let's say the topic was subsidies, U.S. federal government should reduce subsidies, and instead you stood up and said, we should give the land back to the Indians, right? You should lose because you're not embracing the affirmative topic. That's called topicality. You didn't engage with the topic. But judges didn't give a shit, right? They were just like, well, that's
Yeah.
racist. I heard this argument literally at least twice a tournament. When I would say, you're not topical, you should lose, they would say, you're the slave master tying me to the whipping pole all over again. Yes, because your experience of being asked to follow the rules of the game is the same as black people that were enslaved and whipped and brutally torn from their family. Yep, same thing. I could see the comparison, but that shit flew. That was 2004, 2005. It's probably more insane now. I don't follow it, but that's just the way it was. It's super lefty. And you're muted, Fabian. But the big argument that I like to run was coercion, like basically libertarianism. That was
testing.
There you go. If you ran coercion, that was an automatic loss with probably 70% of the judges.
Hey,
I feel like there's a lot of
Scott,
things.
I just
God damn it!
wanna-
Why am I lagging so much?
Oh, maybe you are lagging. Yeah. I was just going to ask you to sing. Would you do that for me, please? Do you hear me? Or maybe there was no reaction.
Yeah, hold on. I'm switching my audio to see if I can get it to not lag so much.
Okay.
I'm just changing the buffer size and sample rate.
Sure.
I might have to
time.
turn off safe mode though. We'll see.
Oh man.
Testing.
Yeah. We can.
Nah. All right,
We're
I'm gonna
not
keep
gonna
on
just sit
safe
here and
mode.
bullshit to each
My
other.
audio-
They're gonna move us to the actual debate.
They told us
they-
to be here at 6:00, and I don't fucking know where.
They moved IRI. And
Are you streaming right now?
I am just on YouTube and kicking.
Oh, I'm not streaming.
You can't stream
Yeah,
on
I'll do.
Twitch.
I'll do something real quick. Here you go. How about Wheels of a Dream from Ragtime? So, I see his face. I hear his heartbeat. I look in those eyes, how eyes they see. Oh, when he is old enough, I will show him America, and we will ride on the wheels of a dream. Yes, the wheels are turning for us, girl, and the times are starting to roll. Any man can get where he wants to if he's got some fire in his soul. We'll see plenty of men who will stand up and give us our due. I know it's more than promises, Sarah, it must be true. A country that lets a man like me own a car, raise a child, give a man his due. I see his face. I hear his heartbeat. I look in those eyes, how eyes they seem. Oh, when he is old enough, I will show him America, and we will ride on the wheel of a dream. All right, so I ended off key there. It's been a long time since I've done that song, but yeah, there you go.
That was amazing.
Something random.
Let's get Fanatic to play piano behind you.
Yeah.
I don't like Fanatic argumentatively, but I would be a damn liar if I didn't say he's a fantastic.
You ever seen Ragtime?
pianist. No.
Ragtime is a great musical. TLDR, black immigrant family moves to racist South America. Black man gets accused of crimes he doesn't commit and becomes a fugitive. But all of it is worth it because his son would have starved where he was from, and he gives his child opportunities he never had. So he doesn't. He's almost willing to sacrifice himself to the horrors of racist Southern America for the hope that his child will have a future where he can be educated and work and hopefully recognize that that's what it is, and that like the wheels of a dream, right, is kind of like the pinnacle of that, like of the birth of his child. Like everything I go through will be worth it because my son will have a better life than I could ever have had. it's super, super liberal. And I mean liberal, like not progressive leftists. I mean like MLK, like, you know what I mean? Like content of his character, not the color of his skin. It's pretty good though.
I did show choir because I liked this girl when I was a senior, and my friends convinced me to do it. And then they all dropped out, so I was one of 3 guys that did it. And I sucked pretty
I bet
bad.
you had a nice voice, Rob. Come on, were you a tenor? What were you?
We didn't get into that level of it. We sang like swing. We sang like Zoot Suit Riot and shit. That was
Pour out a
Hold
bottle
on,
of
pause.
beer.
How the fuck did you manage to do a show choir with 3 dudes?
Yeah, it was like 12 girls, and I think there were 6 of us by the end of it, but there were only 3 that were like seniors. I think that 3 of the guys were like junior high that we brought up. But yeah, it was, and I would have kind of got made fun of, but I was pretty eclectic. So I also I hung out with the stoner art people, but I was also on the football team. And I was in show
Were you
choir,
like the one were you the one stern asshole that was like, now you guys, you shouldn't be smoking this weed?
No,
you're hanging out with them anyway.
I had asthma, so I wasn't into smoking, but I was getting shit faced on of other stuff. I just
sure.
It was interesting because
Dude, I loved show choir.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. Like, I didn't give a shit that people made fun of me. I didn't care about that. I thought it was fun. I just wasn't very good at it. You know, I think it would have been more fun if I was good. But I was. My parents instilled into me like, if you join something, you have to finish it out because you're letting everyone down. Like, if you quit, like my friends did, then all of a sudden the entire show's going to fall apart because they choreographed for, X number of people.
They need the shitty guy kind of singing in the background.
And I could
we planned for this.
There was my partner, she weighed like 80 pounds. I could lift her over my head for like the swing dance. So I was good for that. I just kept my voice down, when I was singing.
Bro, it's wildly, like, show choir was really weird for my school because like people were fighting to get to our school to be in our show choir. Mm-hmm. And so like, we didn't really get made fun of because like you could, but like we were the ones that brought most of the school's budget to them via like prizes. So
were the kids in your show choir, like, were they considered cool kids? Like, were you in one of those schools where it was like the theater kids were the cool kids?
So the girls were the girls that made it into show choir were the most popular girls in the school. Right. And when I say show choir, I mean they made it into Capital Swing, not into like the girls show choir that like, because like the top 25 would be in like Capital Swing, and then there'd be like the alternates would be they weren't alternates. They never learned our
like
shit.
Junior varsity next to varsity kind of thing.
Yeah. So like the girls that were like the top 20, 25, you were pretty much guaranteed like to be the popular girls in school, unless you were like there was 1 or 2 girls that were there because like that weren't popular, but were just like amazingly talented at like singing or something. For the dudes though, like I think I was like one of like, so I was in it for 3 years, and like I don't think there was ever more than like 10 straight guys, and so this was still like 2000, not even 2010s. So
how old are you now?
How old am I now or then?
Now.
32.
Then.
So it's like it wasn't like anybody was gonna get beat up in the fucking bathroom, in 2007. But it also wasn't like you were gonna be the popular kid in school when you were like I'm bi and I love glitter. You know what I mean? Like that, you weren't gonna be the cool kid.
Singing the Pirates of Penzance, like I am the very model of a modern major general. Like
so what the fuck is happening? Are we just in this waiting room waiting for the next 3 hours for this shit?
The Q guy that's running it just messaged me on Discord and said join the general voice chat, which is where we're at. So I guess they're probably just setting things up. You know how it is. A lefty's running something, so it'll be late.
When I saw the 3 of you up here, I was like, is there a panel going on or something? Yeah. Like, also,
look, they gotta tell, if I don't get like information in like the next 10 minutes or whatever, like I'm just gonna dip. Yeah. Like you told me it was Monday, and then like midway through me talking, it was like, shit, I meant Tuesday. And then at Tuesday at 5:45, I was like, I'm here. What do I do? And he's like, oh, I didn't get back to you. It's actually Wednesday. And I'm like, well, I got shit going on Wednesday. It fell through, and I'm like, okay, well, I can come. And he's like, cool. And then I had to message you guys to figure out where to go. And then like way later, he was like, go in general lobby. And it's like, okay, well, it's fucking 17 minutes after start time, and I haven't gotten a DM. So you got like a couple more minutes, and then I'm just gone.
So you won't make fun of me the next time. It takes me a little bit to get into my VC at the start of a panel, right? Like, I start my things on time, right? You always make fun of me, but I start everything on time.
Okay. Look. It has been, despite only being in a few years, it has been incredibly difficult for me to break that military mindset that like you being 1 minute late is like the same as like force feeding my child cigarettes. Like, how fucking dare you? Like you should have been early. At the worst case scenario.
My dad used to always say 5 minutes early is late. Like,
Yeah. So when I had a previous job, worked at a
And
hospital.
I hated that in the Army, but it's still in me.
I had a previous job in a hospital, and like I would have these meetings with my boss, and that's the mindset I would have, like to come there early, right? And then I would sit quietly while they did other stuff. But they specifically told me not to do that. Apparently, I was a distraction or whatever in my presence. And so yeah, but that's the mindset. Like you come in early, and you're prepared for the meeting.
Yeah,
exactly.
Is that when you responded with, because I'm black, I make you uncomfortable?
Well, she was white, and let me tell you about this lady. Like, this lady was horrible to me for a whole list of reasons. Maybe one of them could have been race. I don't know. But, like, I showed up on time. Just putting that out there.
I always
She
thought,
just like slowly starts like taking away like the TV and stuff like that. They're like, no, we don't want you alone in the fucking room with these things. It's like, oh my god, okay.
I always thought with these panels and stuff, like I'm trying to be considerate of other people's time was always my thought. If I was running it or even if I'm coming, because I don't want, people got lives.
Hey, if you've got roles, move up to the keeper kick room. You should have them. You should see it above Destiny's room. Move on up.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right. See you guys. Bye.
Good luck, guys.
I'm gonna move that.
Thank you.
Thanks. Kick or keep room.
I want them to. I'm about empowering people to work for themselves. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Oh, what you? Okay. No, not even gonna bite. Okay, let me count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, that's it. We're only missing 2 people. This is easy. Hold up.
Hey, friends.
Who the fuck were they?
Oh, so it's a Twitch panel, but we get to vote people off the island.
Yeah, that's how the fucking show works. Wait, what? Yes, it's a Twitch panel, but you get to vote people off. True.
Well,
yeah.
Not Twitch, right? I mean,
I have no idea what's going on. I'm just here, boys.
Destiny's
Not
here
even
to have
streaming.
Destiny's a terrorist or something, so you can't stream to Twitch. I can't remember what he did, but
I am a terrorist.
yeah.
Piss off Keffels. You know what he did.
Oh, Voldemort. I can't say her name right. Did I get that gender right?
Whatever.
I hope. Yeah.
I'm perma banned on Twitter and I stream on Rumble. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Not gonna stop me from saying the truth.
Bad boy. What you gonna do?
It's like a mark of pride with this
Grift
guy.
and be a centrist or a leftist or something. I don't know. Then I won't have these problems.
That's true.
This is an all-star cast right here. My old friends Fabian and Rob is going to be fun.
Yeah, last time I talked to you, you said you like to stay in your bubble. You didn't like to debate right
True.
wingers.
I don't like to get destroyed by you, Rob, so I'm very scared right now.
Well, I appreciate the kind words.
I haven't seen Like in a very, very, very long time. Hope you're doing well.
Been a hot minute, man. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah. I checked your DMs. It's been 2 years, but yeah, thank you.
Hey, I hate to be
Why do
rude.
I feel like I've seen you since then?
Not to be rude, but for some reason on my Discord, maybe because your names are longer, the ladies in the center, I don't have your names and I don't know your names. So could you tell me what they are just so I'm not rude when I'm talking to you here?
Hey, ladies.
You
Is
can
that-
call
is
me
that
Yeah, you can call me Erudite or
Erudite.
Kyla, whichever you
Okay.
prefer. Yep.
Yeah.
Wait, Lycan, are you part of this episode?
I am now.
I'm sorry, on the bottom, what was your name? I'm so sorry.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Aaron.
Aaron. So Aaron.
Hello.
Aaron. Sorry about that.
No one.
Yeah, I think Aaron is the only person I haven't met here. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Like, it's always good to start off like with introductions to be light and easy before I call you all idiots for your terrible opinions. So.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I don't really see the need for pretenses. I mean,
Of course not, Scott.
You know what I mean? Like,
The first time you meet someone, it's usually you're berating them. Indeed.
I mean, not like strangers, just like, you know, streamers, right? Like you're like a certain you're a certain like special trash human. You know what I mean? Like like I am so much nicer to like homeless people on the side of the road with like drug problems that like you know that are on the sex offender registry. Like however evil you can think of them, like you know what I mean? Like they deserve your respect, all right? But like not a fucking Twitch streamer. Like come on, man.
I really can't argue against that.
IRI, I'm going to see Offspring September in Pittsburgh. There's no chance you'll be there, is there?
I'll
buy you a beer.
No, I
if
will
you're
not.
there.
I will not. I would say hi if I was, but no, I will not. That sounds fun.
It will be. My wife's a big fan. I also really like the Offspring, but it's one of my wife's absolute favorite bands. So I've never got a chance to see them. I'm looking forward to it.
Hell yeah.
That's some fancy jewelry you got there, Erudite.
Dang. My friend just gave it to me.
Is this it? We got 7 duders, or are we waiting for anybody else?
No, we're waiting for one more.
Oh shit! You actually got Jordan.
Does anybody?
JP.
It's Jordan Peterson.
Oh shit!
Oh my god.
Does anybody know how this works?
Pete.
Thank God my room's.
Or are we gonna like?
It's a Twitch poll
Explain it,
panel,
like-
but people get voted off the island.
Yeah, who does the voting? I'm just curious.
Your mom.
I mean, then
So you're gonna win.
obviously I'm winning. I'm a special boy. You know what I mean? Like, come
depends on
on.
your relationship. I don't know if my mom voted if I would win. If I'm being totally honest.
Look, I love my mom. We don't have a great relationship.
Sorry about
Probably
that.
vote.
Wait, hold on.
Holding. Yeah.
First,
We're all waiting.
First of all,
Yes.
RIP to my Twitter account. You know what I mean? It got taken down.
Wait,
for
was it
that fucking tweet. Yes,
What did you
yes,
do?
it was for that exact tweet.
What was your
yes.
tweet? Spill the tea. What did you do?
It was him and the Black
Go ahead.
Klansman fucking thing. I can't believe you
Poster.
got banned for that.
Exactly.
Oh.
I mean, shout out to all the fucking niggas on the subreddit celebrating it. I saw you guys. You know what I mean? Listen, it's okay.
Hey, listen,
I'll be
listen.
back.
Solidarity
you?
with fellow permaban Twitter accounts. All right?
Sus
you
out!
in
Don't
like
say that.
a-
Don't try to put me. No,
Was it you in like a KKK
Suspended.
hat or what? I didn't actually see the tweet. I've been away for like a week.
I was just playing off of the fucking Black Klansman fucking movie poster, and yes, the black dude was in a hood. Yes, but it's a fucking movie poster. If that movie poster was allowed, my shit would probably should be allowed.
I agree
I don't
with
know.
you. That is absolutely true.
How many followers do you have?
I had like 5,300.
Oh, okay. So you have to have 10,000. Then Elon Musk will know who you are, and a human
then
will
he'll
look at
give
your
a fuck.
account, and you'll get restored, right? But if you have under
True.
10,000, what happens is no human ever looks at your account, and it doesn't matter if what you did was right or wrong. It just goes through like a fucking AI, and then you're just permabanned or whatever based off of like whatever the AI decides.
True. I actually fucking believe you because when I submitted the appeal, like that shit hit me. With,
Yeah, you
like,
get it back like
awkward.
2 hours later, and it's like a fucking
Yeah.
like obvious. I'm laughing
Yep.
so hard.
Q, I thought you got banned because you
That's
posted
tough.
a picture of like a burning cross and then you said lit you say?
No.
Hey.
I honestly, I wish.
What a base tweet. Wait, do you have a copy of that tweet? Because that sounds like a fire tweet, literally.
I'll drop
I got-
it in chat if I find it.
I got banned just for saying that you ought to be able to run over protesters that sit in front of your vehicle.
Jesus.
Damn.
I mean,
Christ.
fucking, why not? Get the fuck out of the way.
True. First question. Why not? Wait, I'm kidding.
You need to subscribe to the Destiny system, Morelli. You cannot run them over unless they throw something at you first. So if you can bait them into throwing a Coke can at you, then you can run them over. 'Cause then it's
What
self-defense,
new
okay?
what new form of consequentialism is this?
It's just
where
the principle of
everything is-
self-defense. If somebody
it's the-
aggresses on you and you tell them, hey, if you throw that shit at me, I'm going to run you over. Well, if they throw the shit at you, they're consenting to being ran over. So.
It is self-defense. It is self-defense.
exactly.
They're
There you
kidnapping
go.
you.
Well, that's a stretch, but
Not if you're a libertarian, right?
True.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Man.
Hey,
I mean, you mean someone with an actual moral system as opposed to whim.
wow.
Damn.
hey, Destiny, you and this gun in the background. Is this a statement? Is this like that one guy who has a holster is always on the show, or is this just
The statement is that the shotgun's probably the nicest thing I own, so you better believe I'm gonna fucking show it off. That's the statement. I've got the blue hair to trigger the right. I got the guns to trigger the left. I just want everybody to hate me before I even open my fucking mouth.
Mission accomplished.
Haste. I'm triggered.
It's so not true, though.
What's not
He
true?
just wants both sides to go based. That's what he wants. You don't actually want them to hate you.
Yeah, you're a dirty fence sitter, Steven. You can't decide on a side.
True.
Nazi enabler.
No, he's a lefty.
Okay, speaking of Nazi enablers, I legit want to talk to somebody from Patriot Front. I'm trying to talk to somebody from Patriot Front. Because every time I see them, it's just like tons of right-wingers being like, fucking feds, see the khakis, fucking fat boys, glowies, motherfucker. And then the left are just like, fucking Nazis. Nazis are everywhere. And I just like, I never see these dudes talk to anybody. I just want to talk to them and see like how Nazi they are.
Yo, really?
Like what on a scale of 1 to 10, like how crazy are they? Do they just come off super fed? I don't know.
Do you guys think Fuentes is a fed?
I don't know.
Why would he be a fed?
Probably. To
You've
protect
met him.
himself, probably.
Did you see the footage of him at the at January 6th IRI?
No, what was he up to? Oh, I saw him like the night before screaming, standing on a car or some shit.
I think there's footage of him screaming like "go in, go in, go in" and shit. That's like pretty easily recorded.
Is he like Ray Epps? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no. What I'm wondering is if he made a deal to not go in, and if he is actually an informant, because I've heard that rumor a lot. And then, and now I just recently saw some people discussing this clips. I didn't realize that there was like clear footage of Fuentes. I should go watch it myself instead of repeating. But apparently, there's like assuming there's like clear footage of him telling people to like go in and shit, but he didn't do it himself.
I assume that if you're famous and you are in a space that is constantly infiltrated by federal agents, right? Like, you know what I mean? Like we know like January 6th Proud Boys, right? Like a majority of them were federal agents.
No, I don't think we know that.
What? Like, no, the majority of the people in courts, like, come on, let's be honest. The people that were breaking windows and shit outnumbered at least 2 to 3 by glowies. It's just obvious at this point. To anybody that just like
it's obvious because you've said it many times. I got it.
I mean, okay, well, just
how many FBI people do you think there are? Like, how many people work in the FBI?
It's not just the FBI, right? Like, you have Capitol Police, which are like you have a lot of other people, all kind of like involved in some degree or another.
Capitol Police,
and I also don't think
we're doing long-term infiltration into right-wing groups.
Yeah, without a doubt. But I think also when I say feds, I'm also talking about just informants. I'm talking about people that get approached and they're like, "Hey, we're gonna get you in trouble, or we're gonna give you like $5,000 if you just like keep feeding us information occasionally." And then then there becomes this like corrupt kind of relationship that like feeds itself, where
but
people
like,
kind of feel like they can get away with more and more.
What evidence do you have they were all informants, or most of them are informants?
Well, it's obvious. Just look at them.
Yeah.
Boom.
Well, no, I'm
they were BLM
I'm not gonna,
guys first.
Right. I mean, if you want me to like compile a bunch of the court documents that have been publicly shared that I'm sure all of you have already read before and pretending like don't exist, then we can like maybe like grab those together later and we can show like, the fact that like, prosecutors had spies working on the defense team for the Proud Boys during ongoing trials, and we're still there at like family events, informing on them to like try and weaken their defense, that like there are a ton of people that are unnamed. Like, I mean, like I feel like you guys are fucking with me and trolling or playing stupid if you like don't know that like the feds heavily infiltrated these organizations during January 6th and were instigating a lot.
So the initial claim was the majority of the Proud Boys are feds. Then you changed it to
I said
majority
like
of the people
busting
breaking
down
windows
doors
were
and
feds.
shit.
And yes, then you said the majority breaking windows were feds. Now you're saying that they were heavily infiltrated by feds. So I don't even know what the actual claim is at this point, but one of those might be correct. But all three of those are quite different.
I'm not backing off. I'm not backing off of the second claim, right?
Okay.
In any way, shape, or form. I said people busting down windows and shit in these groups. Yeah, they're probably all feds.
Was there
like,
even
do
one
I know
that
the
was
exact
confirmed?
number?
Wait, was there a single one that was confirmed to be a fed that was breaking down a window or door?
No, what we have is, this is what we know for sure. There was Capitol City.
Rob's about to pivot to a totally different topic now, but that was
we
that was pretty clear.
investigated ourselves and found nothing.
How do we leave Hillary?
That was such a clear and easy question. Because you're saying the majority of them that broke down windows and doors were feds. I'm just curious, has a single one been outed as a fed?
Several of the people that we see that were most responsible and blatantly.
There's Rob doing the pivot again. It was such an easy question. It was such an easy question.
We don't know who they were.
No.
Okay, thank you.
We don't know who they are. What we know
Destiny, if you would
is that
listen a little more often, maybe you'd learn something instead of
But
going, I wonder
we
if they
don't know
wanted
who
to
they-
know how to
listen.
spell the name Burisma. But that's okay.
Right. We don't know who they are, but what we do know is that they're not. Is that they spoke to the FBI and they spoke to prosecutors, that they have immunity, that they're not being charged with any crimes, and for some reason their names aren't being put out there, which is what you do when you're protecting a Fed.
Well, let me ask you, what do you think Ray Epps' involvement was in all of this?
Uh-oh.
I feel like Ray Epps is like is a wild card, and the reason I think Ray Epps is a wild card is because there's like he seems to be a focal point for a lot of people, and I don't know if it's just all misinformation or if it's just really obvious. If the dude's just a kook that like decided to grift to the left, and like because he grifted towards to protect himself and be like, I'm actually love you guys, and then all of a sudden they love him because he's willing to like call out and be a witness for them. Or if the dude's just insane, he might be a Fed, right? I mean, it's just it's hard for me to like definitively know what Ray Epps is.
He's some old boomer, and who was he protecting himself from? The right?
Can you explain to me, IRI, why
Prosecution?
Can you explain to me, IRI?
Protecting himself from fucking
Fabian,
not being held in prison.
You know what I'm so excited for? I'm excited for a panel of straight autism.
I have a question for IRI. Can you explain to me?
For it.
Can you explain to me, IRI, why Democrats and people like Adam Kissinger that were on the January 6th panel seem to want to go after everyone who illegally entered the Capitol as strongly as possible, except Ray Epps? He's the only one that they're like leave.
He didn't go in.
He
didn't go into the Capitol.
He encouraged people to go in. He was at the front
okay, so
line
we're
with
moving the goalposts.
No.
He didn't go inside. He
So
stood on the
it's
sidewalk and said, "Let's go, charge!"
2 days in a
and he's
row. So your
responsible.
argument is anyone who didn't physically enter, none of them should be prosecuted, even if they told
Oh, I
people
see where
to
we're
go
going here.
Just
No, they're
curious.
just not the priority.
be,
Rob, they're just not the priority. The
prosecuted.
priority are those who went in and actually did stuff.
So the priorities are the
next
grandmas
priority
that
would
went
be-
on and didn't do anything violent.
Oh
not
yeah,
the
they're
people
just
that
grandmas.
instructed them to
Yeah,
go in.
totally grandmas. Because
Were
we didn't
those
all
people-
see the footage where it was
Okay.
a ton of people between.
Well, wait a minute.
fucking 18 and 35 doing this
Wait a
shit.
minute. If you're
Serious
talking about
question.
priorities, then that would mean that those people that I'm talking about, the grandmas, also wouldn't be priorities, correct? So
Can I-
can you
can I
explain why
ask you a
nonviolent
question?
people were arrested?
Death penalty.
Could I ask
you
you a
have
question
the
just because
penalty
I
for
don't
doing
know
it.
much about the situation? Can I ask you one clarifying question, Rob?
Sure.
The guys who weren't prosecuted, were they really cute?
I don't think I guess that's subjective. Ray Epps looks like a normal older dude to me.
Okay, so no.
Destiny,
No.
you think
Have
he's
you,
cute?
have you
Is it
considered white
starting?
privilege?
This is already 6:35. Like, when does this show start?
Rob, what do you think about the fact that Ray Epps is like literally suing Fox News for like slander because they keep saying he was like an agent provocateur?
I don't give a shit about that at all. Why would I care?
No, but you don't think that like, do you think he should be doing that? Do you think it's bullshit? Do you think he's like delusional? Do you think he's a Fed? Like,
I think if
what
I
does that
was,
say?
do you think if he was a Fed, that would be dispositive?
What? No, I'm asking you what you think about
Yeah,
him.
if he was a
doing
Fed, he
a
would
just
just
told
lawsuit.
you.
entering records into the court system. Yes, if he was a Fed, he would not be doing that.
That's not true. At
That's
all.
absolutely
see
true.
So you're telling me you know beyond a shadow of a doubt because he's allegedly filing this lawsuit that he didn't cooperate with the Feds in any way whatsoever. That's what
No,
you're
no, no.
telling me.
There's a difference between cooperating with
Oh.
the Feds and being a Fed.
Define being a Fed.
When you say being a Fed, in this case, you're saying that Ray Epps was there to be a provocateur and to foment this riot.
So just to
contribute
be
it.
clear then, when Destiny asked if Nick Fuentes was a Fed, you're definitively saying no because Destiny clearly in saying Fed meant someone that got caught there and then decided to cooperate with federal investigators.
Hold up. You're playing such a dirty and disingenuous game. When I ask if somebody is a Fed, the implication
he's not.
is that
You can't say someone's playing a dirty game because they call out inconsistencies.
Right.
What is
There's
this
no
leftist rhetoric
inconsistency.
bullshit?
I don't know how this leftist rhetoric, but I was in the middle of explaining it before your brain caught up to my last sentence and decided to interject, okay? So, super obvious. Whether or not you're a Fed is if you are a federal informant or you're working in some way to foment something before the event itself. So if you get caught doing something in a bad event and then the Feds flip you and now you're a Fed, for the next event you might be a Fed, but you wouldn't be considered a Fed for that event. Fuentes wouldn't be. When I asked, do you think Fuentes is a Fed? I wasn't asking, was he a Fed for January 6th? I was asking if the FBI cut a deal with him to turn in people afterwards to prevent him from being prosecuted. Does that make sense?
Wait. You're saying the Fed thing is like a new thing? I've been hearing like he's like evidence of him being a Fed or informant for like way longer than
It's maybe.
Didn't realize that you meant like
I never
directly
know- I
after
never-
January 6th.
Sure, but I've never heard of I've never heard of those like substantiated, other than people on the right like to say that everybody's a Fed on the right for some reason. All the far right people say literally every other far right person is a federal informant. But the January 6th stuff was the most compelling stuff that I saw or that I heard discussed, where there's clear footage of Fuentes apparently telling people to go inside and everything, and he's on camera and it's obviously him doing it, but he didn't seem to get in trouble at all for it, which I thought was
Of course, the right thinks everyone is a Fed because I think every right winger knows if they're on a Telegram, if they're on a Discord, that is dissident, anti-government, anti-establishment in some way. They basically know there are going to be federal agents there, right? And if you're in a left-wing space, there may or may not be, right? And I think that so I mean,
wait, why
yes,
how does it even logically follow? Weren't there Feds involved with like Malcolm X and MLK? Like, what do you mean there are no left-wing Feds? What does that mean?
Literally, there's a lawsuit happening now from a left-wing group that got infiltrated by the feds, and they're like going through their electronic documents.
Right. So I said may or may not be, right?
Well, you made it sound like if you're on the far right, there's absolutely going to be Feds, but if you're on the far left, there's not.
Yeah,
no, I didn't say that. I'm saying it just depends if you're on the far left. When you're on the far, like the feds have a specific the state
You're
has
just
a
restating what I
interest.
said, that they would go after people on the far right, but not necessarily people on the far left. That's what I heard. It sounds like you keep restating.
Not necessarily. There you go. Yes, that you can be in like a commie place that organizes protests, right? And there may not be a federal agent there. But if you are in, I don't know, Look Ahead for America's Discord before it got taken down by magically because it violated Discord TOS, the people that can't catch a pedophile to save their lives when they're given receipts emailed to them constantly. If you're in that Discord, there's going to be some feds here, right? And so when there's 1,000 people here and one's a Fed,
catching a pedophile and Discord TOS. That's so strange how your mind works. Is it all like the same agency?
No, I'm just saying.
You think that the DOJ
what I'm
is
saying,
in charge of pressing TOS charges against Discord servers? How are these things connected at all in your head?
Yeah, I know. I what I'm saying is that Discord is notoriously bad for finding people that violate TOS, and yet they are notoriously good for finding and shutting down Discord servers that talk about COVID and have medical misinformation.
Guys, stop. Let's start the show, and then you could carry on this conversation if you'd want, okay?
Well, but then I'm not allowed to talk anymore, so fuck you. I'm just kidding.
Honestly, you could jump in if you want. You could jump in if you want. From time to time, I don't mind.
Dude,
as long as
I have idea what the format of this is.
You could argue with them, you know what I mean?
When
you
is
could argue
Peterson
with them if
coming?
you want.
Is he going to be here soon?
I mean, if by Peterson you mean counterpoints, then I don't know. Maybe soon. Anyways, let's start the fucking show, ladies and gentlemen. While I do my intro, please, no interruptions, okay? Thank you very much. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 9 of Kick or Keep. Today is a special one, ladies and gentlemen. We have 7 great, wonderful, amazing, talented, just the best people competing head-to-head in an elimination-style debate show where you, the audience, gets to decide who we kick and who we keep. The rules of the show are very simple, right? You'll be given a topic. You'll have 25 minutes to debate it amongst yourselves. Once the timer gets to 0, a straw poll will be put in kick chat. The contestant with the highest amount of votes, gets to decide who to kick and who to keep between the 2 lowest voted contestants, right? Remember that. Chat only votes for the person that gets to decide who to kick and who to keep between the 2 lowest voted contestants. At the end of the show, there could only be one winner. That is our champion, ladies and gentlemen. Do you have any questions? Any questions? It's very simple, very straightforward. No questions? Perfect. With all that being said, I'm your host, kick.com/Quarantos, QORANTOS. Live right now, joining me is my co-host, a man of great stature. And no, I'm not talking about his build. Kick.com/Destiny. That's it. Let's get into it. Well, okay. Let me ask you guys, would you like to continue the topic that you were just discussing, or would you like to move on to something else?
Let's move. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
It's a boring
guys,
topic.
Unmute yourself, guys. Unless you're talking to your people, then you keep doing that. Okay. First question. And by the way, counterpoints might be joining us later on in the round. Just heads up. Okay. Anyways. First question. One of the core values of Western democracy is freedom of speech. Do you feel in the past few years that the West has become much more pro-censorship and is heading down a authoritarian path. You know what? I want to start with Rob.
Actually, with that question, now that they can all reflect on the question while we do introductions.
My God, I fucking forgot it again. This is the second time I forgot fucking introduction. Holy shit. Okay, I had an excuse for OF. Okay, it was a bunch of titties. I'm sorry. Okay, fuck.
Go.
Guys, I woke up 10 minutes ago. Fuck. Anyways. Why do you... Listen, I think you realized it like fucking 20 seconds earlier, but you're like, I wanted to ask the fucking question.
Well, yeah, get the question out. This is all planned. You told me before that you were going to read the first question before doing introductions, and I was like, okay,
true. Top left. I don't know any of your political positions. I just like right, left. So I'll just be introducing you by your names, okay? Great looking guy. Great beard. A fellow glasses wearing man. Suspicious background. Weirdly suspicious nose. Don't ask me why. We have Fabian Liberty Scott. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, I am Scott from Fabian Liberty. You can find me on Rumble at Fabian Liberty. If you search Fabian Liberty on Twitter, you'll just find a booking account. Like I'm permabanned on Twitter, but you can find me on YouTube as well. Yeah, I'm an anarcho-capitalist. I am the kind of like ideological end boss of libertarianism. Or one, you could say I'm actually a libertarian instead of all of these fake ass libertarians that, I want a limited government. All right, cool. Republican 2.0. So yeah, you can check me out on Rumble, check me out on YouTube. I'm not live right now because it's this kick or keep, and like the good anarchist that I am.
Yeah, wrap it up, buddy. You can wrap it up, but you can just shout yourself at the end.
Right. All right. Wait. Like the good right wing anarchist I am, I assume that I will bitch and complain about being oppressed and get kicked off soon, and I'll be just like my left wing buddies and say that it was all the oppressor that came after. So,
my man. To the right of, apparently it's pronounced Fabian. To the right of Fabian. Okay, a man that honestly, it's a stereotype at this point with the background, Biden, Harris, Warren. Like, I like Mike Bloomberg. I don't know if that's a meme. We've got, I'm really important. Go ahead and introduce yourself, buddy.
All right, Destiny and Quiznos, thank you guys for inviting me. I'm excited to be here. I am a libtard and talk electoral politics on my channel, so let's get this party started.
Great. To the right of I'm really important. We've got fucking Lycan. Everybody knows this guy. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
I'm a man of few words. I don't need to say much. I'm Lycan. I am, whether you're a leftist or a righty, I'm a dirty liberal, and I am here to talk shit and chew bubblegum, and I'm all out of bubblegum, baby.
There we go. Below Fabian, and to the left of our only black contestant. Guys, I don't make the rules. I just had to meet the quota. We have a 100% not insufferable woman. Beloved by all. Great takes. Absolute zero condescension. Just like I enjoy to be around. Got not so erudite. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi guys, I'm not so erudite. I prepped for this show wrong. I thought it was more of a party show than autistic politics debating, so I took a 1.5 shot, so hopefully it's still fun. And also, Krontos, you're just mad that I outed you for, goat fucking.
Okay, there we go. The dog fucker calls me a goat fucker. I mean, life goes on, you know what I mean? Below, I'm really important. And guys, I'm not racist. It's a fact. She's a white woman. Below, I'm really important. And to the right of not so erudite, we have my African-American brother from another mother and father and lineage. Might be a good... anyways, we have Prime K's. How are you, buddy? Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, hey. Nice to be here, everyone. My name is Prime Kai. You can find me on Twitch and YouTube. Do panel shows, and we argue with each other. We'll have people like Scott around, or that direction, whatever, and others, and we have a good time. So I don't know. Come find me.
Beautiful. Thank you for the intro. To the right of Prime, Kai, again, K-A-I, but it's apparently C-A-Y-E-S. To the right of Prime, and below Lycan, we have a bear. Again, good-looking guy. in a couple of states in the United States, probably a great-looking guy. You know what I mean? A man that's going to go against a whole. I mean, honestly, it's like it's going to be a 1v5 type shit. So you better be ready. robnoerr, go ahead and introduce yourself, buddy.
Thanks. I'm robnoerr, populist conservative. You can find me on most streaming platforms. Gentlemen, when he says bear, I think he means my appearance and not sexuality. So I'm married. Sorry to disappoint.
Nobody even took it there. The fact that you had to think about that is sus to me. But you know what, Rob? Appreciate you for coming on. Below Erudite, to the left of Lil Steve, and I don't know geometry. Diagonal to Prime. We have again another not insufferable woman. Great takes. Everybody likes her. You know what I mean? Straighterade, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Straighterade or Aaron. Q begged me to come on the show because he knows, I'm like to the left or whatever, like I'm a lefty, and I'm really interested in talking about wealth inequality, which I know is an issue that personally affects Q, and Steven too, so very excited to get into it.
Okay, true, real and true. Ladies and gentlemen, we might have a couple of people joining us. By a couple, I mean 1 or 2 max, later on in the round, so just, heads up. Anyways, let me say the question that I've already said, okay? One of the few, actually, do you remember the question, or do I really have to say it again? Fuck it, I'll say it again.
Say it again, please.
I'll say it again, I got you. One of the core values of Western democracy is freedom of speech. Do you feel in the past few years that the West has become much more pro-censorship and is heading down a authoritarian path? I want to start off with Rob. Oh, by the way, before we start off fully, feel free to interject and interrupt each other if you feel like somebody's saying something stupid. Again, this is not a fucking town hall. This is not an actual debate panel where you're like, you know what? I gotta wait for my turn. Raise my hand like I'm fucking retarded. Please, feel free to interrupt each other. Anyways, Rob, go ahead and start us off.
Yeah, it's obvious we're getting less freedom of speech, both through institutions such as social media, the mainstream media that gatekeeps so much of our flow of information, but also through the government that we see through the Twitter files and other files that are directing that censorship. And it's being done on behalf of the establishment, people that are in positions of power. Right now, that is benefiting the left, so a bunch of lefties are okay with it, but inevitably it'll be turned on them and they'll be whining and complaining as well.
I guess I am okay. I'm not a free speech absolutist, so I don't pretend to be. I think that for a functioning society, you have to regulate speech like you regulate everything. By how much, that I am willing to debate, but I don't think that everything should go.
Well, I think that's the mistake people say when they talk about Elon being a free speech absolutist. No one's really a free speech absolutist, particularly if you're trying to make money, right? I think what Elon's talking more about is trying to have people not censored for their political opinions, particularly being pressured by the government to do that censorship. But you're a damn fool if you think, well, I'm a total free speech absolutist and I want people on here shouting the N-word, and I'm trying to sell advertising, to Google and to YouTube. It's just not going to happen. So the idea...
I'm sorry, real quick. I just, as a host, I gotta interject on that one. That's the only time I'll ever interject. Didn't Elon Musk literally bow to the Turkish government, saying they had to censor political opponents for political speech, and that was an example by the government censoring Twitter for the government for suppression of political speech? Sorry, that's my only interjection.
Sure, I'm not here to defend everything Elon did, and I've heard that he did that and said that he thought it was better because at least they could remain in Turkey and still have some sort of truth. As far as I'm concerned, that's a black mark on him giving into that sort of thing. But I think when he was looking at it, he was referring mainly to the United States, where he sees so much of this previous Jack Dorsey regime that was censoring people oftentimes of shit that ended up being politically slanted to benefit the people in power, and oftentimes was true, like so much that we saw over COVID, so much that we saw over things like the Hunter Biden email, that we saw people condemning Russiagate, and all sorts of other things. The slant was inevitable. We just saw it today, just yesterday. I'll finish with this, all right? Didn't we just see a day or two ago that now we know that Facebook, that the Biden administration was reaching out to Facebook to remove jokes and to remove other things they don't like. So it's not just Twitter, it was occurring in all these social media
What
platforms.
joke were they reaching out to get them to remove? Do you have an example?
I think it was, I'll look it up, but I think it had something to do with vaccines or COVID.
So,
funny joke.
was it a joke or was it misinformation?
What's the difference? If I think it's funny, it's a
huge
joke.
fucking difference. It
was
doesn't
a
matter if
meme.
it's
You're
joke.
right.
At the end
Who
of the day,
controls-
it's a deadly
That's
candidate.
interesting. Who determines what's
Misinformation
disinformation?
is form of
Who
joke.
I
determines?
wish I had thought of that.
Wait. The anti-Semitism leading up to the fucking Holocaust came out in the form of jokes first. What the
don't
fuck
give
are
a
you
shit.
talking about? You don't give a shit. It was still
Right.
the precursor. It still mattered. So people
Who
are making
controls-
anti-vaccine jokes, but
controls-
the jokes are to continue to foment the idea the vaccines are bad. Yeah, it's vaccine misinformation, but you are okay with vaccine misinformation because you agree with it.
Who controls
Wait, hold
what's
on. Are you
disinformation?
left wing? Weren't you guys
Please, no
for years
vaccine.
the purveyors of vaccine misinformation?
No.
Oh,
not by any stretch.
Oh my
No.
God,
Listen,
I'm
Rob.
still on
Let him
YouTube.
cook.
I'm begging you all
Please,
to not
go ahead and
fucking
cook,
talk
and we'll make you
about
dessert,
COVID.
buddy. Go ahead. Let's hear your thoughts on that.
No.
Okay, let's.
please
I mean,
no.
I'm saying like
How-
you say. So hold on. No, I like.
Okay,
well,
here's
I
the
understand
official.
this is.
I'm gonna give the official
this on
position
YouTube?
on COVID.
Is this on
Fuck
YouTube?
No,
Yes, this is on
YouTube.
Well,
This
she's
is
on
on
YouTube.
YouTube.
We're not
only
cool
on-
Rumble streamers
Okay,
like you.
I'm gonna give
okay?
the
We're not
only
cool
official
on Rumble.
position on COVID.
We are
which
not
is-
on YouTube. Go
Fuck
ahead.
you. I am on YouTube. Though,
Okay,
so
cool.
Please,
Not on YouTube.
if you're gonna go
Okay,
into
well, then I'll
COVID
give it very
crazy
quick.
land, if you're gonna go to cozy crazy land, I need you to warn me so I can
All right,
turn off my.
I'll be
YouTube.
all right. Listen. I'll be all right because you're. That's why I'm asking because you're on
I'll
YouTube.
just mute you. It's
It'll be
fine.
very. I'll be
Stop
very. I'm. You know. Fuck
Disgusting.
you then. All right. So
What?
anyways,
You can't mute a fucking contestant, by the way.
I can't
No
have
shot.
COVID misinformation.
I will.
On fucking YouTube.
I have
I'm
one
not-
community
I'm-
strike.
I
No
literally
shot.
It says
just
a
said. I
Fabian.
literally.
Yeah.
For this
I'm
Will
not
you
doing it.
shut the? Will
I'm
you
not.
shut the fuck up? All right. I'm not gonna
Picture
fucking
is-
get you. Oh my god! If you're going to mute me, at least stop interrupting me. You fucking weirdos. God. Anyways, so because some people are on YouTube, all right, I will simply say this. If the idea is that we're going to use, hey, that's not a joke, that's actually misinformation, I think there's a certain element of trust that you have with society that the state is able in some regard to be able to accurately determine what is harmful misinformation and what isn't. And COVID, with many things that have now been officially turned back that were considered misinformation before previously that are now no longer considered misinformation, I think you kind of lose the ability to go, well, maybe it's misinformation. And when having a discussion about free speech, and we should all just tell you to fuck off.
Fabian, that's how evidence works.
No,
What you
the way
classified as like misinformation or whatever, if new evidence comes out, people who actually
That's
care
not
about
how
that.
evidence
move
works.
their position
That's
over.
not how evidence isn't. The government says if you disagree with us, we don't use evidence. We don't use a scientific process. We
Okay, I'm
don't use
turning off YouTube.
discussion
No
or
one fuck
debate.
you.
And
Government
instead,
Alright.
what we do is we censor you.
Right. So what we
Well,
saw
these
is we
are
constantly
facts.
hear this trust the science thing, and they've been wrong over and over. Even in real time, they're wrong. For example, we knew that it was most likely that it came from a lab. They censored that. We knew that it was most likely.
Hold on,
Please,
you can't
Fabian,
say
please let me
lab leak.
finish my point.
You literally
Right.
can't say
please-
lab leak on YouTube.
Whatever.
Well, she's turning it
They
off.
thought they said that
Alright, well,
natural immunity wasn't superior. It obviously was from the first study that we had. The meme in question, like, and to answer your question, have you ever seen the picture of Leo DiCaprio from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood where he's smoking, like drinking and smoking a cigarette, pointing? Does everyone know what I'm talking about? That meme format.
Yep.
It was that picture, and it said, 10 years from now, you'll be watching TV in here. Did you or a loved one ever take the COVID vaccine? That's it. That's what the government felt is. Oh, that they shouldn't censor that, right? Like,
Sentiment. That seems a little harmful, doesn't it?
Oh,
During a
does it?
pandemic, as
Hold on,
we're
hold on.
dealing with a life-threatening disease that without
Wait
the
a
vaccine,
minute.
it's
So
higher
you-
for
Fascist.
I would have to-
Fascist on you.
I'm going to
Dude,
I'm
like
pro-vaccine.
unironically,
I
fucking
am
fascist
pro-vaccine,
fucking
however,
bullshit.
hold
There
on,
we
shut up,
go.
Scott, I'm going to try
Like-
to help you out. I'm pro-vaccine, and like fuck any misinformation about it. But like the way it was handled, I think it's fair to critique the way it was handled, especially at the beginning. Right? I don't think Scott is wrong when he says that there was a list of things of statements or interpretations of the situation that were just banned, and that's different from saying that you need to follow the evidence, right? That's another step when you're saying, well, you can't even talk about it, you can't say it, and then later on it actually turns out to be right. Like we can separate these two things, right? It's not simply evidence.
It doesn't. Two things. One, it shouldn't be up for debate. We're talking about free speech. It's clear that free speech is under attack. You could see people on this panel defending that memes should be taken down that are innocuous as saying, hey, there's probably going to be ads in 10 years saying if you took the vaccine, you could sue. That probably is true. There probably will. In fact, there's already foreign countries where people were suing vaccine makers for failing to disclose side effects that they knew about. That's lawsuits are occurring elsewhere. I know that Lycan and the people he votes for are trying to make that illegal to protect big pharma in this country. Hopefully that doesn't go through the whole away, though. But secondly, half the time that they say that we need to censor disinformation because it's harmful and shit like that, it is a naked partisan political grab, and they're trying to censor people based on things that they're claiming is true, that they're full of shit. Disinformation to these people merely means shit that we disagree with and think that harms us politically. When I could go through and show over and over how fucking wrong they are, for it, which I've done many times, and all of you are too cowardly to debate me on vaccine mandates and things like that one-on-one, including Destiny, who only ever deal with me on panels, because you fucking know.
The child debate.
Just every time you try, you get crushed. Every time.
Okay. This is the robnoerr tactic. All you have to do is say loudly and longly enough that you're right and everyone's afraid of you, and suddenly, magically, your worldview makes sense.
It works every time, too. So
Here's the actual opinion to have about
COVID.
COVID. The actual opinion on COVID is fuck everyone. Everyone reacted really poorly to it. It's fucking annoying to listen to any side talk about it ever because nobody was super scientific. Robnoerr's side isn't being very scientific, and there's a whole bunch of people on the very pro-mask
Tell me what my side
that
is.
also weren't being scientific, and it's fucking annoying. Politicians weren't listening to virologists and epidemiologists because to do so basically meant sacrificing their political life. But does that mean that this grand scheme of COVID was made up and nothing is real? No, that's just your paranoid schizo brain.
What's my side?
Reality
What's
is
my
that
side?
it's way
Erudite, what's my
easier
side?
to lay the blame at people being dumb fucks and cowards than it is on some like malicious.
No. All right, we get the filibuster where you said nothing. Rep Fabian, I'll respond to you. Said my side. First off, can you tell me what's my side? Secondly, what we see is one side said we think that people should be able to make up their own mind, and the government shouldn't force them.
Misinformation is anything that I don't like people disagree with or whatever, but then you won't admit that you just think jokes are literally amount to misinformation, disinformation. You're trying to say, oh, that's all just jokes.
No, I'm saying that that's not disinformation anyways, that the people that control what disinformation is are oftentimes wrong and are nakedly politically. And second, we shouldn't be censoring jokes, period, even if it is disinformation. Can a joke be disinformation? Sure, I could think that it is wrong, but I don't think it should be censored. I want to say this real quick. To respond to Erudite. To respond to Erudite real quick, one side said, we just don't want the government forcing shit on people. We don't want them forcing censorship. So maybe they were wrong about shit. I'll give you that. The other side said, no, we're so certain that we're right, that we want people to be forced to be locked down. We want people to be censored.
Here's what the actual side said. You had the pro-maskers who were like, we're all gonna fucking die, and if you don't wear a mask, you're evil and ontologically immoral, and we hate you. And the other side said, COVID's not real. The vaccines are plots to like put GPS. I know this because I have family members on both sides. Half of my family thinks I'm going to die because I'm vaccinated, and the other half thinks I'm evil because when I was outdoors, I realized that masking wasn't important because the outdoors were pretty ineffective.
Wait, Rob, let me ask Rob a question.
This is a really
fuck you, Fabian.
This is a really interesting.
Fabian,
Come on, man.
shut the fuck up.
Wait, real quick. Okay, IRI and then Fabian after. Go.
Thank you. Okay. Rob, if I make a funny meme and 100,000 conservatives end up not voting, they vote on Wednesday, do you think that's okay?
I think that, yes, that you should be allowed to do that. I think that someone did go to jail because that occurred. You're aware of that, right, IRI? But when we see leftists...
So you support that guy going to prison for that?
I don't. I just said that I wouldn't support...
You think that's okay?
I think you should have the right to make that joke.
Voters like that is okay?
Do you think asking a question and then not listening to the answer is okay? Now, I'll finish. No, I think that you should be allowed to make those jokes, and if that disenfranchises voters, that's a shame, but we can't go through life wearing... Let me finish. We can't go through life saying, oh, anytime you make a joke, it could harm someone in some way, therefore we need to make jokes illegal. Secondly, in that particular case that you're talking about, yes, a right-winger went to jail. Left-wingers that made the exact same meme directed towards right-wingers saying, go vote on Wednesday.
You're wrong about that.
You want me to pull it up?
You know you're wrong about that.
I'll pull it up. I'll pull up the meme right now. I'll pull it up.
He had a coordinated effort to disenfranchise people, and they connected like 5,000 people trying to text to vote for Hillary via text because of his jackoff.
So let me clarify. You're saying that the meme's okay.
Also, wait, one sec, real quick.
Interruption.
Whoa, hold on, real quick, as a host intervention. Just as a clarification point, I do believe it is against federal election law to misrepresent where voting happens. It's not just a meme or whatever, but like if you post something online saying, "Hey guys, make sure to remember to vote a week from now," and that you're lying about where the voting place is or the voting time, that is a violation of federal law, and that's why you get in trouble with that. Just an interjection. Go ahead.
Right.
So Rob supports breaking the law. Go on, Rob.
This. Jesus Christ.
Go ahead, Fabian.
These guys guys will just literally monologue forever and then get so uppity the moment somebody interrupts them. They call me filibustering. You guys are unbelievable projectors.
It's the
so
only way
funny.
you can get in.
Anyways, keep going, Rob. I want to
in.
hear. Keep cooking.
Oops. So you want me to respond or you want Fabian to talk? My response is this. It is a bullshit law. It goes to what the question was, that there is more authoritarian censorship. And I just want to clarify on your part. You're saying it was okay when Democrats posted a meme to Republicans saying, remember to go out and vote on Wednesday. And the reason that's okay is because, and I'm quoting you, it wasn't a coordinated effort. So it was okay for them to do it.
This guy impersonated ads. People making jokes on Twitter is no big
It's not
deal.
the
This
question.
guy had a coordinated effort, and he disenfranchised thousands of people because of that.
So then your
Different from
original
me just
question to
posting
me,
a joke.
so then your original question to me, whether if you post that joke and people don't vote, should that be illegal? You're now backtracking from that because you're admitting Democrats did that. You're just saying the difference was
No.
it wasn't a, so let me ask you point blank, is it okay to put a meme up in your book, a meme directed towards right-wingers that says, hey, make sure to get out there and vote on Wednesday? Is that okay or should they go to jail?
Not if it disenfranchises a bunch of people. A joke's a joke. That guy had a coordinated effort. And
so
that's
wait
what I'm
a
saying.
minute. So if the
my joke
jokes-
had proof,
No,
if
wait,
my
no,
joke had
wait.
proof that it disenfranchised 100,000 people, it should be taken down as disinformation.
So I just
That's
want to
what
be
I'm
clear.
saying.
I just want to be clear. So if I post that meme and no one listens to it, it's not illegal. But if I post that meme and people do listen to it, now me taking the exact same action is now illegal.
That's how laws work. You have to show
That's
people
what I
are
thought.
injured.
And to answer your question, Q, yes, you can see why free speech is under attack because of fucking fascists like this. When we do it, it's okay. It's only under certain
I'm a fascist.
circumstances. Right. That's exactly what I'm accusing you
Hey,
of.
Yeah,
Biden
the moment
fascist.
nuance is introduced,
go.
all of a sudden
Right.
fascism rises.
So-
you know,
I wanna
fascism
talk-
is actually
Now I'm a fascist. Call me a
victorious for its
racist too,
nuance.
Rob. Call me a racist now.
I'd like
thanks.
to talk after
Yeah,
Scott.
Sure,
so-
we'll get to
No,
that.
we like those guys. We like those guys.
So there's two things I want to say about this conversation so far. I think what we've seen from some of the representatives of the left here, predominantly not so erudite, right, is kind of like
yes.
a post hoc nut picking, right? Which is now that the left has been proven to be massively
Wait, what kind of
censorious, on the left and the right, to try and reframe.
Okay, I didn't know if it was like a
reframe
sexual
history.
gender joke or like a political joke.
No, I feel like you've been in politics long enough, in the debate politics space long enough to know the terminology, but instead you're just trying to like distract and like
No,
make
I
jokes about
actually
it. But anyways,
I didn't know.
for just
I
a
didn't
moment,
know which nuts.
so just follow with me. Follow me for a second, all right?
I'll try.
I believe in you. You got this. So
Thanks.
what you're
I think I
seeing
do.
is you're seeing a kind of post hoc rationalization of oh well, everyone was crazy during COVID. And here's the crazy right wingers and here's the crazy left wingers.
Rob just
And
did what you
yes.
described when he described what was misinformation about vaccines as a fucking joke, dude. What are you talking about?
That's not what I said. I
That's
said
not-
this
that's-
was a
that's not-
joke.
You
that was
literally
not
said that
picking.
people were getting banned off because of a joke, and then what you went on
Yes.
to describe was just vaccine misinformation.
Is it? Oh, okay. So you know, real quick.
Hold on,
Fabian.
Rob, shut up. Shut
Hold
up.
on, Rob. Let Fabian
Rob,
go.
you've spoken like half the panel. What the fuck are you talking about? Please explain how that's post hoc nut picking instead of you just saying random words. Like, take your brain out of the fucking microwave and explain how
Okay,
that is post hoc
so-
nut picking. And that's the same thing that I'm describing. Not so right. Don't step in for the IQ challenged people here. Let her fucking figure it out.
Damn, bro, chill.
I don't.
We
I don't
don't
know
got
if
anything?
she-
All right, so
I
I'm
don't
gonna
know if she
continue our
knows
path.
what you're referencing her.
All right,
What
we
is
got
nut
nothing.
picking?
We got it.
Mad
Gotcha.
over here.
All
What is nut
so
picking?
Nut picking is when you take the craziest people with the craziest opinions out of a group, and then you represent them as representative of the group. And this is exactly what
Isn't
Not
that
So
what you
Erudite
guys do
did.
to trans
Is that
people?
you guys did with trans people? That's your
Uh-oh.
interruption because I'm
Right-wingers?
fucking
Yes.
destroying
Yes,
you
you guys
lefty
do this shit
fucks.
all the fucking
Come
time. Everything with the anti-gay shit, everything with the anti-trans shit.
Oh,
You guys do this all the time. You find the fucking little
Lefties
crazies,
losing
and
the
then you're
free
like,
speech.
Why are
and
you
everyone
calling
just
that a
goes,
nut pick
"Oh,
instead of a
trans
straw man,
culture
dude?"
war. Let me interrupt with trans culture war shit that has nothing to do with the topic because I'm fucking crushing you
pretend you
retards.
guys don't do
Listen
this shit.
for a
Just
moment.
stop pretending
All
you
right,
guys
just
don't do the same
listen for a
shit.
moment, and I can finish. What has occurred is that we know that the government was actively utilizing resources and connections within social media to do everything they could to silence dissent from right wingers that disagreed with the political policies and the corporate interests of the cathedral. And now that that is
Wow.
just a known thing that we all know, all of a sudden we now look at COVID as like this crazy time where everybody was crazy. So we can all kind of
What
forgive
is the
that time
cathedral?
where everybody was crazy. But I'll explain that in a second. I'm sure it's
Thank
just
you.
Mitch's Molebug. I'm sure you know
He's
Mitch's
cooking.
Molebug, right? I'm
He's
assuming
cooking.
you've
No,
read Mitch's
Yeah,
I don't
Molebug.
know what.
Oh, okay. Well then, damn, you really don't know much about right wing thought. Anyways, so
No, pointless to learn
what
about
we're
it.
doing now.
I agree.
What we're doing now is we're rewriting history, because there were people like myself, like Rob, and like a ton of other people that were saying, "Hey, these mandates are bullshit. Hey, mask mandates are bullshit. Hey, the science doesn't show that masks work. Hey, we have genuine concerns about antibody-dependent enhancement." I was doing this 2 years. There was tons of people doing it, and we're going to forget the people that were rational, that were saying what you're doing is wrong, so we can nitpick and say, "Oh, everybody was crazy,"
Okay,
to get away from the fact that it was destroying free speech.
Let me build a bridge. You're right. There were some rational people on both sides. We're reasonable on both sides. But the reality
I don't think
is
so. I don't like name one rational right winger, please.
Me.
You got the
I've
two
never met
representatives
one.
that you have here are literally defending COVID
I've never
misinformation.
met
What's misinformation that I've defended? Go ahead.
You
okay, first
literally
of all-
characterized a joke that was
hold on.
being banned or whatever. One, you lied about that. It wasn't just a fucking joke.
Yes.
Two, you said it was a joke.
Liar.
When it was about
It is
vaccine
not a liar.
misinformation.
That it is a joke. It's a meme.
Absolutely. No, we're
Second,
gonna go
let
down
me
this
let me
whole
respond to
route
this.
about,
Let me
like,
respond to this.
again,
I'll just
Pinocchio.
respond
We're gonna
anyways,
take
right?
us forever.
Like, so I'm going to respond to this. It is
Oh,
not
no, please,
disinformation.
come
So
on.
you're
I don't
telling
wanna
me
do this.
you know for a fact that 10 years from now there won't be commercials that say if you took the vaccine, that's misinformation. That's what you're saying. There will be no side effects to the vaccine whatsoever.
So, Rob, you're telling me that
Rob,
30 years
Rob,
from now, we
Rob,
won't
what is
have history books
Okay.
that say the right
What is the
wingers
point
led
of
by
this?
Trump
Rob,
What is the
turned
point?
America into a fascist utopia.
Okay, if I could just
I could say the same shit.
I can just respond to
Real
Aaron.
quick,
I can
real
just
quick.
respond to Aaron. If
One
I
at
could-
a stop. One at a time.
Real, super quick. I promise, Rob, I love you, but pretty much guaranteed that won't happen, because we'd have to change the laws on like the vaccine
Well, right,
injury
right. But
compensation fund.
Okay, hold on.
It's
Hold on.
not gonna happen.
Okay.
So just to be
In
fair, it
response-
probably is
In
misinformation.
response to
I just don't
Aaron,
give a fuck.
in response to Aaron, I think that the the brain rot that happens on the left about conservatives is like one of not the only thing. Conservatives do lots of stupid shit too, but on the left specifically, the brain rot about conservatives is leading to like the further political schism. As somebody who lives in a very conservative state, I know tons of conservatives who are very reasonable about it. They're like, I'm a little bit hesitant about the vaccine, but I'm super, super willing to isolate. They didn't think COVID was not real. They were just like, I don't know how I feel about like a brand new vaccine that's been pushed along, and I can isolate really safely, so I'm going to opt to do that. I have tons of friends and family. Now, I'm not saying that they're a representation of like all of the average American. I mean, you might even say maybe Canadians are based. I don't actually think that that's true. But the issue is like, yes, we do have people here talking about like COVID misinformation, like Rob and stuff. But like,
No answer.
come on.
No
Look,
response of what I've said that's
you and I-
misinformation.
Yep.
None.
You
Big
and
liar.
I would
Big
both
liar.
agree that robnoerr, for example, and most streamers are not like super good representations of like. The
Okay, but Kyla, what you had to name was like people that you
Especially
know
Rob,
personally
yes.
and like right wingers in Canada and stuff like that. Like, name one reasonable like public right wing
So-
figure, either
so
in
I'll
Canadian politics or the United States,
I'll
who
respond-
isn't defending something like vaccine, like denying COVID, the big lie, Trump's misinformation, like all of that shit. Because
So
you're talking
I'll-
that's like literally the average conservative.
So
at this
I'll
point.
respond to
Okay.
this. So first
No,
off,
no,
I
no,
can
no,
put
no,
me
no,
into
I
that.
don't
I
wanna
can put me
jump
into
in.
that.
No,
Listen,
I wanna jump in.
that-
I wanna jump
Just
in.
listen to me.
Hey, when the host talks, chill, or you're getting muted for a whole minute, okay? When I talk, chill, okay? Listen, you guys can be as mean as you want. Just give each other turns. Stop interrupting each other, okay? Erudite, shut the fuck up. We're at the end of the round. Don't say anything. It's time to vote to keep, not kick, okay? I'm putting the poll in chat. Boom, boom, boom. And now, Erudite, go ahead and say what you want to say. Knock yourself out. But the poll will
The
be in
reason-
chat. We are voting to keep, not kick. Good luck, guys. This is round one.
Yeah, the reason I was referencing anecdotally people around me is because we were making general statements about populists. So yeah, I'm not going to use streamers as a yes.
So-
okay.
and so then-
I wanna-
I just
no,
mean,
no,
like,
I
Sure,
wanna-
Kron, go ahead.
No, no, you talked the
Conservative.
entire time.
Everyone says
So, like,
misinformation.
I
I've spread it.
wanted
I
to-
don't
yeah.
get a chance to
Yeah, you
respond.
literally
Go,
don't
go,
get a
go,
chance.
go, go,
Come
go.
on. So anyway,
Go ahead,
let me
Prime.
get this out. Yeah. I think that I think it would have been better if we had talked about this in more an abstract manner, because talking specifically about COVID brings up all these like emotions, and I really want to get at the heart of this question. I think that like if you're going to have a public square, right? And oftentimes when we talk about the public square, we're talking about Twitter at this point. But still, if you have a public square, you got to have rules. Like you can't say that a public square you can do anything in terms of speech. Anything obviously cannot work. Like even if there's like no monetary exchange happening, right? Like all that does is drive people out. We want to have a public square where the most people can come into it, right? Like, and I can't run Elon's company for him. Fair enough, right? But in general, in principle, when we're talking about a public square, we can't have people yelling like racism into other people's face and like making it so impossible for them to interact with others, right? Or bigotry or anything.
Okay, so then what you do is you rely on the very institutions that you've called systemically racist for a long time to be the arbiters of who's allowed to speak. Secondly, I'd like to say this.
I didn't say that.
Secondly, that's what the
words in my mouth because I didn't say.
Should the government censor people?
Hold on. If we're talking about
Wait a second. Speaking of censorship, Prime, Kais, and Fabian are up for censorship to be decided by the round's winner, Not So Erudite. Fabian and Prime Kais are the two at the bottom. Not So Erudite, you are in charge of depriving one of these members for the rest of their time on the panel and 100 gifted subs. You're about to axe somebody's career, chop it off at the neck. Tear it out root and stem.
Okay. You know, I would love to see an argument from both of you as to why you should stay. I hate picking.
Oh, you want us to actually have an argument?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. I am on the far left. However, I think as I displayed already, is that I can see arguments from both sides, right? And I don't mind undermining my own side. So even though we are at a dearth of right wingers here, I can still provide those arguments because I can have heterodox opinions. So there.
I mean, fair enough. I'm the only libertarian here, and probably the only one that would talk philosophy, and that is why you should probably kick me, because the moment I start talking philosophy, all of these DGG orbiter people are going to lose their minds because my high IQ takes will just fucking
I can't handle the high
them.
IQ philosophy.
Very persuasive.
I get it. All right, I love you.
Fabian, shout yourself out. Where can people find you? Not on Twitter, but where else can they find you?
I mean, if you want to support, me on Twitter, my booker, you can find Fabian Liberty on Twitter. Make it easier for me to get interviews. Check us out on YouTube or Rumble, Fabian Liberty, both places. And, in the next couple days, we'll be playing the living fuck out of Baldur's Gate 3, grabbing all the snacks tonight so that I can be playing Dark Urge. So if you want to see a bunch of sociopathic, murderous bullshit and libertarian politics, come check us out on Rumble. I'll see you all guys around. I will.
There we go.
Hey, buddy.
Good luck, buddy.
Appreciate you for coming
on. Love you.
Of course.
Okay, let's see. Before we even move on to the next round, do you guys know that this fucking episode of Kick or Keep is sponsored? Yes, actually true. It is sponsored. Let's see. Did you set up the commands and stuff?
No, did you give me those to set up?
Yes, I fucking gave you everything. Also, gave you a bunch of overlays. Also, gave you a fucking intro. You didn't set up anything. Literally nothing. You fucking useless. You know what? I'm not gonna do what you did to me. You know what? You might have been busy. I'm a very considerate person, but you gotta make me look back to the sponsor fucking people. I told them, yo, listen, don't get 100 people. Now we're getting 0. They hit me up like fucking 2 days ago because they thought the fucking show was Monday 6 p.m. They're like, yo, how did it go? We see nothing on our end. I'm like, no, I promise it's gonna be better on fucking Wednesday. Making me look bad. So how about you set it up right now, and then maybe at the end of next round I can shout it out again, okay? Could you do that, little Steve? It's literally a command.
Don't worry, I'm working on it.
Okay.
You just want this link in chat? Where is this up? Oh my god, how are you gonna post this shit and then post a bunch of other messages at me?
I posted a billion things. Cause what?
You should have pinned it. You got to pin those things.
If you're not gonna reply to one of them, I'm just gonna reply the second. I'll put the second and third. The fuck?
All right, the show.gg link.
Yes. This is the one I fucking sent you.
Talk about it. Sell it.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen. I know there's a lot of obese fucks in chat. I actually do know that for a fact. Since you guys watch Little Steve 24/7, the guy's live like 12 hours a day. So do yourself a favor. You know what I mean? Go ahead and sign up to HelloFresh and get yourself a 50% discount on your first meal. Do me that favor, okay? Do me that favor. Go ahead and sign up with the link in chat. And use the code. Give me 2 seconds while I pull up the fucking code. Okay, use code. I'm about to say it, just like I'm almost there. Keep going. Keep stroking. Use code show GG7111. Show GG7111 and get yourself a 50% discount on your first meal. Thank you very much. Anyways, we're moving on to. By the way, also use the overlay.
Code. Is that the code that you picked?
I wasn't picky. I didn't want to say use code Carantos or else
Use code
no
weekly. You know.
Nah, who gives a shit? Okay, 50% is 50%. What, your delicate fingers doesn't want to type fucking the company's name? Who gives a shit? Anyways. Before I ask this next question, I need to test the waters. Is anybody in this panel or on this panel a free speech absolutist?
No.
Anybody?
I'd be close,
No,
but no, I'm not.
It doesn't exist now.
Okay, interesting. Little Steve, are you a free speech absolutist?
Yes, even for child.
No, man. Of course you are. Okay. Let me ask you this. Do you think that platforms such as Facebook and Twitter should be treated as publishers and not as platforms due to their control over what gets allowed on their platforms and what gets traction through their algorithms? Let me start with Prime. You didn't speak much last time. Go ahead.
So I think that they should be treated as platforms. That they can't possibly like screen everything that comes through. Yeah, they should be treated as platforms.
I would agree with that if it wasn't for the fact, two things. One, that it is basically a monopoly when you take them in totality, like the top four ones. And second, that they influence so much of our public discourse, particularly surrounding culture and politics. Professor Robert Epstein, for example, testified Google's algorithm alone would be able to manipulate 16 million votes per national presidential election. When we see our government giving carrots and sticks to these platforms in order to punish people that they see as political dissidents, even censoring actual correct free speech, then you could see the problem. And so they should have section, 230 removed, 230. And they should be treated as publishers if they're going to selectively enforce these policies to allow people that they favor to do the exact same things against TOS that the people they don't favor they punish for. Then they should lose their special privilege and should be treated like everyone else.
Would you be in favor maybe of modifying 230 for that? Like if there is like clear bias that's found, like by a court of law, clear bias found in your operations, then you remove the platform status.
Well, that's basically what I'm saying. I'm saying because, and the real problem is...
You were saying repeal it, so I was just asking...
Well, I would repeal it, totally. I think that Twitter, for example, or Facebook or YouTube should be able to put whatever the fuck they want on, as long as it doesn't break any heinous laws like, child exploitation, stuff like that. But other than that, they should be allowed, if they don't want me on here, absolutely they should have the right to kick. The problem is once the government got involved, and once the government was offering incentives and offering, threatening and things like that to force the removal of political discourse, it became a problem. And even beyond that purely libertarian perspective like Fabian would have, we have to answer for the fact that this public square of like Google's algorithm and YouTube and Twitch and Instagram and Facebook controls so much of our discourse. If we have a problem with money in politics, are we really okay with basically whoever controls Google's algorithm controlling elections for perpetuity? I think that it's a problem that needs dealt with.
Every government is going to, unfortunately, interfere with these companies, right? Like whether it's one of the liberal democracies or like straight up authoritarian, they always make ask of these tech companies. So should we hold it against a tech company for complying with a government mandate?
Well, I think that if they want to come out as whistleblowers to people in the government that are challenging whether or not the government in our country, for example, is violating our First Amendment by forcing the pressuring of removing free speech, then maybe they should be given some sort of credence to go along to not be as punished as much. But if they're not, if they're willing to go along with the government and cover up for the government and purposely try to influence elections, then I think, for example, you could do things
Wait.
Go ahead.
Well, what proof do you have of these allegations? This is some fantasy talk of influencing elections and such. What are you talking about?
Did you read the Twitter files or the recent Facebook drop?
I did read 2.5 of the Twitter files. It was horrifically boring and led to nothing.
Right. It led to nothing because the same corrupt government that was asking them to censor people they don't like decided not to punish themselves. Right. But what the Twitter files definitively showed was that there was an effort pushed to censor information.
Can we not do a Twitter files panel, please? Please, can we not fucking do this?
Boy, you add so much to this. You're doing a great job. Anyways,
do something. Don't let this be a Twitter files
Keep going, bro. I like this.
So anyways, what we could see is what this showed was that the government, through all sorts of institutions such as CISA, such as the FBI's Foreign Influence Task Force, and other institutions were reaching out to social media companies saying to censor certain stories, whether it be Ukraine stories, whether it be COVID stories, whether it be stories critical of Joe or Hunter Biden. For example,
were they saying censor or suggesting, hey, I think this might be against your terms of service?
Both. So with the
really?
Yes,
I remember the Trump administration reaching out about some joke about calling him a pussy ass bitch, asking for that to be taken down. Is that what you're talking about?
No, that's not what I was talking about. What you could do is
my bad.
Let me clarify. This is what the left always does. They choose to ignore the overwhelming evidence of this corruption that benefits their side, and they say, but one thing happened once on the other side. Yes, the fact that Trump would have reached out, and you have one instance that you could supposedly prove that he asked for a joke to be taken down is fucking bad. He should be excoriated. That didn't influence elections, such as the censoring of the Hunter Biden story. It didn't influence our policies, such as the censoring of the COVID lab leak story, or natural immunity, or school lockdowns and things like that.
You mean the New York Post story that was prevented from being shared for 24 hours 3 weeks before the election? That somehow influenced the election?
Yes, it did. It did
somehow. Sure. Okay, so 3 weeks before the election, for 24 hours, sharing a New York Post story that got way more attention once it got censored. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Well, I'll answer your smug bullshit if you like. It's no wonder you stay in your own bubble, IRA. Very, very astute. What it does is it puts to a bunch of independents that we're going to be looking at. First, they used to call this an October surprise when you release a scandal right before the election. So the fact you're saying 3 weeks before the election, right, that's a big fucking deal. Second, what it did was not only did they censor it, but it was also shadow banned. It was also purposely devalued and things like that in Facebook, Instagram, other places. So less people were seeing it. And those independents and people that are maybe center left that would have been worried about this story now thought, oh, well, the fact that 51 former Intel officials and these social media platforms removed it proves that it's bullshit, which it wasn't. They knew it was true.
So, Rob, let me ask you point blank. Would Trump have won if Twitter did not censor the New York Post story? Yes or no?
There's a solid chance. So Rasmussen reported that 30% of Democrats said that had they known that story had been accurate, they may have voted. How many votes decided Wait, IRI, you seem very confident. Right, IRI, you seem really confident. How many votes decided the election? Go ahead.
Woo. Rob.
Go ahead. No, please leave IRI. He's very confident here.
IRI, he was so close to that 50-state landslide.
There you go.
He was just right there. And then the
straw manning. Get it?
Like,
straw manning.
Damn.
How many votes decided the election? 44,000 votes in 3 states, right? If they would went the other way. In fact, that was in the indictment of Trump that was released today, right? 44,000 votes. That's in you agree with that, right?
Yeah, Rob, I can agree with you here. I can see your point at the very least, right? I don't know what effect it would have had, but we can say that there was like the Hillary Clinton email story, right? That happened before the election, and where she lost to Trump, not Trump. Sorry, not that one. The other.
Yeah, she did lose to Trump. That was 2016. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. Prime, you're probably thinking about the Comey, the thing that the announcement that Comey made. About the emails or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. So that email that had an effect, right? It was an innocuous story. Just like I think the Hunter Biden's an innocuous story.
It wasn't inaccurate. It was an accurate story.
In any case, voters can be easily swayed, especially how you frame it. So to say that within 43,000 votes in like 3 states, that might have swayed the election. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's not like entirely.
Well, and that's just looking at.
I would never let the Hillary Clinton campaign off that easily. If that were the only thing that sunk her campaign, then we would Democrats would never lose another fucking election. There's tons of reasons why Hillary Clinton ended up losing that election. And it's the same thing for Trump. It's the same thing for Trump. Okay, that the New York Post article could have circulated all over Twitter, and I really don't think that he would have fucking won.
It could be true. I don't know. What I'm telling you is that polling seemed to suggest that as many as 30% of Democrats would have considered changing their vote. And when you only needed about 20,000 to change their vote, then that could have been enough. But it's not just that in a vacuum. Again, Professor Robert Epstein.
How can you say that with a straight face?
How can I say what with a
straight face?
That's what the polling showed. That's what the polling said.
30%.
That's what the polling said.
I just want to land us a little bit because I feel like we're doing some fast and loose stuff. So when you're talking about how Trump could have won the election with a certain number of votes, are you talking about the 2020 election?
Yes.
Or the 2016?
2020.
He's talking
I
about
got
a New York
2016.
Post article not being able to be shared on Twitter for 24 hours, 3 weeks before the election. 30% more of Democrats would have voted for Biden.
Yeah,
What I
he's saying
said
the difference
was that the
between Trump
polling-
winning and losing is that this
No,
is.
no,
this
I-
article
Why don't you
is-
let me
Yeah.
say what I'm saying, since you're incapable of articulating what I'm saying?
Wait,
what
no,
I am
that's
saying.
exactly what you're saying.
No,
I
it's-
didn't need them to recap me.
Okay,
and that's also
then
what you're
allow
saying.
me to say, because I think you're mishearing me, if I'm
Okay.
being charitable. What I'm saying is that polling suggested 30% of Democrats, or maybe it was 30% of people that voted for Biden, but basically the same thing, would have considered changing their vote had they believed the New York Post story to have been accurate. And they didn't believe it, not just because they didn't see it, but because 51 former intel agents lied to put their thumb on the scale,
insane.
and because
Including
they were...
Trump administration officials.
I don't
on that
give a
list,
shit.
Right?
Trump chose poorly.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely
You have
fine.
Trump
And
chose
it's
poorly.
not
Republicans
advised
like
poorly.
you and like Marjorie Taylor Greene are convinced that if enough Americans see Hunter Biden's cock, they're actually going to start supporting Trump and turning against Biden. It's not fucking happening, dude.
You
That
do
is not
look
why
like-
people hate Trump.
You do look like someone who's cock hungry, but that's not me. What I'm talking about is the stories
True.
such as the influence trading that Joe Biden's doing, right? And the fact that Hunter
No
Biden
proof
was
of this.
working with foreigners, such as
No
people
proof.
in Burisma and people in China. There's absolutely proof of it. You're saying there's no proof
connecting
that...
Joe. You know.
What do you mean there's no
Look,
proof
Ron,
connecting
we
Joe?
don't have
Of
to
course
prove-
there is.
So we don't have to.
No
to-
proof.
to
Of course
prove
there
that
is.
it's- So our friend Rob doesn't have to prove that this is a reasonable thing, right? That it's simply that it would have had an
Wait,
effect, right?
this poll is fucking stupid. Okay, it's
Uh-oh.
only people who were actually following the Hunter Biden case that feels like this
Uh-oh.
would have changed things, which means only people really clued in were even polled. And if you think that that represents a large enough voting block that would have completely shifted the elections, I don't care if 4 out of 5 autists who were really invested in the Hunter Biden thing actually think that would have changed elections. That doesn't actually mean that case would have changed the election at all, right? You're basically doing the weakest self-report possible to make serious predictive claims about the outcome of an election.
So first,
Am I getting it correct?
I liked your attempt at a
I
joke
think
there,
so,
but you were
Erudite.
dyslexic. You wrote it backwards because your camera slipped. Second, so flip it and it'll be funnier. Secondly, right, it's two things. It's not
it's
just
like
the Hunter
me.
Biden
It's
story in a bubble. It's all of the influence of the algorithm being pro-Biden and being anti-Trump. Again, Professor Robert Epstein talked about
Hold
how
on.
this...
This is different. This is different, Rob.
Okay.
Any relation
But-
to Jeffrey
right.
Epstein?
Hold on. You can't.
I
keep
noticed you
this up.
didn't mention that when I mentioned it
zero.
previously. Right.
Of course, I didn't mention that.
Right, because you
were
have no
making it
answer.
up.
Right.
Hold on, Rob. You got.
Are you an
gotta let me
Epstein
talk.
supporter,
Gotta let
Rob?
me
Is that what
breathe.
you're saying?
No,
Just
I'm
wanna
not.
make sure.
Not-
The reason that I
Interesting.
didn't mention other things like algorithm bias is because you were staking all of this on this poll. And once you've now
No.
realized, once I outlined that the poll is basically selection bias and it doesn't mean that much, now you're extending your argument to include other things. Because as long as there's enough trail of crumbs, your narrative will work no matter
Kyla,
what.
what you're fucking
but-
up is you're thinking that Rob is basing any of his opinions off evidence. Like that poll could
Good
literally have
one.
said anything, and he would have. Fucking,
Oh,
like,
snap,
used
man.
it to
Can I
support his
just kick
argument. He doesn't
myself
give a
now?
fuck.
She's crushing it again. Anyways, the reason that I bring up is the other stuff, right? The fact that the Professor Epstein stuff is because you're straw manning, saying that I'm saying it was only this one thing. I said that the polling suggests that this could have potentially been enough, but there's much other greater things that occurred as well. And what you cite as the problem with the poll isn't going to help, because the entire argument is, well, it was censored, so not that many people would have seen it, but the people that did see it thought that it wasn't true. 30% of them thought it wasn't true because it was censored. Now, you don't have any evidence if only 20,000 people
The
needed to
story
switch
is
their vote that
bigger.
this
I
wouldn't have had a
catch you up.
significant
I will
impact.
catch you up. First of all, lots of people saw the Hunter Biden laptop thing.
Sure.
As somebody
Yes.
knows, so lots of normies, people knew about it.
How
The
many?
reason that I'm
What
saying,
percentage? If you had to guess.
I
I'm not
don't
asking
have
for
a
the...
fucking
Listen,
poll.
it's important. I'm
I
not
don't have
asking
a
for an
poll.
exact...
Hold on.
30% people
I'm
that
not
voted?
doing-
How could it
I'm
Right,
not
that's what I
doing.
thought.
I'm not doing your weird autistic being like, well, I found this one stat that said this one thing, so therefore fact. What I'm saying is that lots of people knew about the Hunter Biden situation. The problem with the poll that you are citing here specifically is there was a high level of selection bias, and it's a self-report. It's people who knew about the story, were following politics closely, said that they felt like it would have changed the election swing. I
So
don't give a fuck
Okay.
what some random people following the story feels about the election.
So
The
notice
idea
what you
that
did
the
there.
Hunter Biden story
Go
alone-
ahead, all right.
Rob, let
Go
me
ahead.
finish.
And I'll
It's
answer
so
both at the
silly.
same time.
Let me
It's
help
fine.
you, Rob. Bob, listen, we heard enough about your Jeffrey Epstein poll, okay? And more people heard about the Hunter Biden laptop story because of the censorship. So it totally discounts that argument.
Okay, well then you're contradicting each other, and Erudite's contradicting herself, because on one hand she's saying, well, even though the poll said what Rob said it did, there's selection bias because it's a small number of people they were talking about, only the people aware of the story. Then she says, but all sorts of people knew about the story. All sorts. That's why I say, Erudite, can you give me a kind of just your thoughts on how many people heard? Because if 80 people heard about the story, and this is selection bias, right, so you spin now how you're not contradicting yourself. Go ahead.
Okay, so the reason I'm not contradicting myself is because just because normies know about the style, it doesn't mean that about the situation with Hunter Biden doesn't mean that these normies are so invested that they're following it closely and participating in selective research about polling, right? So we have a large group of people who broadly saw the Hunter Biden story, right? Probably not in detail. And then we have a very small selected biased group that was polled on the study that you're citing. And the reason why this small sample doesn't represent the general populace is because of the selection bias present in the sample itself.
All polls have some sort of selection bias. The selection bias that you focused on was it was people that heard about the story. You then proceed to talk about how many people heard about the story. In fact, I'm Really Important said even more people heard about the story. The problem wasn't just that it was censored. The problem is that the censorship itself, in tangent with the former Intel officials and with the current Intel officials that were suggesting to social media to pull this, gave the impression to normies, as you call them, that this was a bullshit story when it was 100% accurate.
Can we talk about something else other
Rob,
than
the
not
issue,
accurate?
no, Rob, the
Yes, it
issue
is.
that
The Hunter
this
Biden
is
laptop
all in the
was
defense
real.
of Trump, who literally wanted to see NFL players fired for kneeling. This is your free speech guy.
That's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think this is the guy that you say is like you want to
do you think? Oh wait, you think that I defend everything Trump does?
All he's going to do is not defend Trump on that one. That's what he's going to do. So I'm just like, why don't we try to expand this conversation so we don't laser into
it's
this
not
one?
Prime. It's not just about him not defending Trump on that one. Is that he literally all of this started with us complaining about free speech and stuff like that. Rob specifically trying to paint the left as the one that's actually anti-free speech when all of his defense has been for Trump, who is arguably one of the least free speech presidents of all time.
So how much shit did he get pulled off the internet that was critical of him? Go ahead.
I don't fucking know. The thing that I'm drawing attention to is the fact that it's fucking disgusting that he's trying to get NFL players who have a constitutional right to protest and kneel fired.
I agree.
That is literally a president trying to interfere with that.
I agree. Do you think it's also disgusting that the FBI was reaching out trying to suggest that the Hunter Biden laptop story, COVID stories, Ukraine stories should be censored?
I don't even know what conspiracy rule that you're fucking
you don't know. That's the point. Anything that's Orange Man bad, and this is everyone who's remotely objective.
No other voter or normie knows or gives a fuck
about
this story.
Right.
It's literally only conservatives who care about the Twitter files.
When your side, when your ideological side controls the flows of information because the FBI is pressuring these social media, then you could just say, I'm blissfully ignorant and only conspiracy theory. Yeah, this conspiracy theory is right all the time.
You mean the FBI under Trump, right? That's
I believe that the FBI under Trump was also corrupt. In fact, they were biased.
Oh, okay.
Did you read?
This got to make sure.
Let me ask real quick. Let me ask real quick. Erudite, let me ask. I understand it's 5-on-1 or whatever. I get it's 5-on-1. I'll take you all. I don't give a fuck.
State plot against Trump by his own FBI.
Did you read the IG report, IRI?
Look, Prime, I kept you around, motherfucker. You better bring the heat, okay? I thought I kept a rabid leftist, and I was expecting at least 3 of us to be called racist by the end of this section.
All right, why are you quiet now? Did you read this? Did you read the IG report?
Nothing about being rad, but specifically I'm heterodox.
Did you read the IG report, IRI?
I wanted to let's not.
That's what I thought.
Okay, sorry. Let's not hyper focus on this one particular issue. Let's try to expand.
Right, because your side's getting their ass kicked. I got it.
So hold on. Rob, I'm not against you here. I promise you, I'm not being.
I don't need an ally. Trust me.
Rob, shut the fuck up. Thank you. So I was just asking, let's try to shift the conversation. We're still talking about this one thing, though, right? Should Twitch be a publisher and not a platform? Lots of right wingers have complained about Twitch's behavior and who gets banned, right? Lots of people have been thrown off the platform, and a lot of left wingers who have said a lot of crazy shit are still around, right? So, should that make them lose their status as a platform? Should they now be a publisher when they're making these editorialized decisions?
if
Can
they
we
are
talk about
acting,
that?
I answered this already, but I'll be brief, which is very difficult for me. I think that if they are going to selectively force TOS for their political preferences, then they should lose their status as a platform and be treated as a publisher. Now, I want to go back to IRI really quick.
Other people don't, but other people can censor things too.
So I want to go back to IRI. He seemed to mock the fact that Trump's FBI could be biased against him. If you would have read the IG report, which you clearly didn't, it mentions that there was clear bias from all of the top people, for almost all the top people in the FBI. The question was whether or not that bias influenced their decisions. Do you disagree that's what it said?
I don't remember the exact
Right.
conclusions.
So then
but
don't act
Harold
like an
did a thorough
ass
job.
when you're clearly
Harold did
wrong.
a thorough job. And I just want to remind you that Trump handpicked Christopher Wray to replace James Comey. After he handed him the election, it wasn't good enough to win the election. He decided he needed to replace James Comey and put someone who would be more loyal to him. But I guess his loyal FBI director backstabbed him, huh, Rob? Makes total sense.
Yeah,
Listen to
so
the
I'll
fantasy
answer.
world you live in. It's so dark, man.
I'll
Why do you
answer.
even exist in there?
You're saying
You,
nothing.
Rob.
I'll answer. Right. One, yes, Trump chose poorly. It's one of the worst things about him, and it's probably a reason to question whether,
So why
if you're
would
a
you vote for
Republican,
him
you would vote
again?
for him in the prime.
Guys,
That's
and
what
he
I'm
was
saying.
the
If
wrong
you would
people.
shut up, yeah, that would be a serious criticism. Second, your story about Comey handing the election, you just criticized me for saying that possibly the Hunter Biden story influenced the election. Now you're saying literally handed the election to Trump because of Comey. If you read the IG report again, here's what happened. Are you ready? Comey had to announce the investigation was reopened because they were intentionally sitting on information that there was a laptop from Anthony Weiner that had emails of Hillary Clinton and other people on it that he wasn't supposed to have. A whistleblower blew the whistle because
Bingo.
Comey's FBI was trying to hide that evidence until after the election. Once the whistleblower went to the Southern District of New York, Comey was like, "Oh
Check your
fuck!"
bingo cards.
Am I wrong about any of this?
You are just throwing all the buzzwords in there. Hillary
What
Clinton
buzzwords?
swallowed an email server
Right.
whole like a
And
snake
there you have
eating
it.
an egg, right,
This
Ron?
is the left. This is the left in a nutshell. You outline actual things from official government documents that I could prove, I could point to them, and they'll say, "Oh, it's a bunch of buzzwords." You tell me what part of that I'm wrong about. Was there a whistleblower that went to the Southern District of New York that said that the Comey's FBI was hiding this information? Yes, there was. Did Comey admit to the IG and in his book that the reason that he reopened the investigation? I'm not steaming. I love this. I fucking love it. I love making you people look
getting
dumb.
your blood pressure up.
My blood pressure's always high. I'm a fat fuck. Don't worry about it.
I'm just
We
trying
want
to
you
Google
to-
some stuff that you're saying,
It's okay.
Rob. Could you just
It's all good,
say
Rob.
like the Anthony guy's name? I'm just trying to like Google him so I can keep up with this conversation.
You want me to say the word wiener? Is that what you want?
Breathe.
Do you want me to say it like breathly? Wiener. Is that better for you? Yeah, Anthony Weiner. Yeah, if you look at the IG report.
W-E-I-N-E-R.
And Comey admitted, I'll finish the story. So Comey admitted that he was afraid that if it came out that they had this laptop with this information and didn't go over it until after the election, he clearly thought Hillary was going to win and was worried that then Republicans would say, see, Comey hid this evidence until after the election. So instead what he did was quickly announce we're reopening it. Then they went through hundreds of thousands of emails in 3 days and said, okay, nothing to see here, and closed it.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem with this. But the FBI had for decades has had a practice of like trying to not interfere with the elections, right? And by that, like not taking investigative actions, right? So this would have been counted as an investigative action that might swing the election. And so they were going to wait. That was their standard practice.
You don't even know what you're.
wait.
Brian Case, did you read the IG report? Then don't talk about it. You don't know what you're talking about.
Hold on. Hold on. The statement that I just said, was that incorrect? Was that incorrect?
Yes. And let me explain
No,
why.
it wasn't incorrect.
Yes, it was. Because
I'm looking.
You're absolutely wrong. It is incorrect. So what the IG found was, one, this wasn't the opening of a new investigation. It was sitting on evidence that they already were supposed to be looking at. And second, it went counter to all of their reason. Listen, they were doing things like giving immunity to everyone connected to Hillary Clinton. And the FBI,
anyway, I don't know why
would
you
you
bring
shut
that
the
up.
fuck
It doesn't
up?
fucking
Would you
matter
shut
to my
up?
point.
You
It
didn't
doesn't
read the
matter.
report. You didn't read the
Hillary
report.
was innocent.
You didn't read the
It doesn't
report. You're
actually
just
matter to my point.
bloviating.
The DOJ, yeah.
Hillary did
whoa,
nothing wrong.
whoa, guys. I just want you to know that we have come to the bottom of round 2. We're not going to be voting on who you want to keep, not kick in this heated 1v400 exchange. Rob,
Rob, you're my champion, okay? Holy fucking shit.
Thank you.
Okay,
you gotta
listen.
support him. You gotta support
Listen. I don't trust you niggas. Because the last time I trusted one of you niggas, you kicked off the only other guy that was on Rob's side. So this is what we're going to do. you still get to decide who you kick and who you keep. But me and Lil Steve also get a vote. How about that? I don't trust
Wait,
you.
really?
niggas. Yes, we absolutely get a vote. I do not trust these people to
So
make
it's our
sound
fault
decisions.
that you forgot to get more right-wing guests.
No, I got suspended. So all the right-wing people in my DMs. So unlucky I can't fucking DM them because I got suspended a few hours before the show.
That's
So
fine.
you actually have a valid excuse. That's crazy.
I cut your
Planning,
content.
if
I
you had
apologize.
them
I
booked,
apologize.
the day before, you would have been good.
No, I had them way before. It's just
You get the
follow
Discords
up.
like I told you to.
Like I told you to. Whoa, can't stop. Relax, okay? You're not my handler.
So
You're not
anyway,
Jewish.
what I was
He's
saying
so
was
lucky.
absolutely correct. The FBI for years has had this practice of not trying to interfere with the elections. So this would have been an action, revealing this to the public, this information to the public, that would have had an effect on the election, which in fact is your entire point, that these things would have had an effect. And so the FBI was trying to avoid that. Now, you can
not
argue
true.
whether that policy is
lie.
right or wrong, but that policy certainly did exist. It's exactly what
That policy
what
existed
was
in the
true.
past, but what
So,
you're ignoring is this wasn't the reopening of a new investigation. They were
I didn't
looking
say
at
it was.
Let
I
me
didn't say it
finish.
wasn't.
Listen, this
It
is what
could
we're
have been,
talking about.
but it
Listen,
doesn't
you
matter.
don't know what you're so out of your depth. You have no idea what you're
No,
talking.
I'm
What
not
we're
on
talking.
my depth.
What,
Actually,
Prime,
no, I
Prime,
haven't followed
Prime.
this. Don't bullshit me.
You-
So,
you-
in this
go ahead,
simple
dude.
statement,
Get it
and I
out.
know you
Get it
don't
out.
have to fight this. You
Get it
don't
out.
even have to fight this to make
Get
your
it out.
point, right? You don't have to fight this to make your point.
Sure I do. You're
just
wrong,
saying
so I'll
that they
fight
had-
it. You're
they had
wrong.
this pause. Now you can argue about should have been released to the public. You can argue about its effect on the public. That's fair game. But the fact of the matter is, they did have a policy.
That you're wrong, right? So what you're suggesting is this: there's an open investigation looking into Hillary Clinton's emails and her server, and there's tons of servers that it went to, or tons of emails that it went to. But this one particular one, even though they're looking at hundreds of other emails that it went to, but this one particular one, Anthony Weiner, they couldn't look at that because they have a policy not to interfere in elections.
No,
that
I
makes
didn't say
no
that. That's not what I
sense
said. That's why you're not even
whatsoever.
listening.
You fucking idiot.
They could have done all that. I talked about announcing it to the public. That's what I said there. But you literally can't even hear it, right?
No,
You're
I
so
heard
up your own
exactly
ass,
what you
can't
said.
even hear what I just said.
I heard exactly what you said.
Specifically announcing it to the public. That would have been the problem, right? And
I heard
they did
exactly
announce it,
what you
but they could
said.
have taken
You're-
all those
you're
investigative
wrong.
actions, right? And
You're
and
wrong.
I would agree with you.
You're wrong.
If they had taken.
Whoa! 2 minutes. We're at the end of our poll. Don't apologize. You're doing great.
Nobody apologized. The fuck? Oh wait,
I
before
thought
we
you said
announce.
sorry. Okay.
No,
Wait. Before we announce
wait.
what?
Before we announce who gets to decide, who we kick and keep, guys. Again, reminder: we got a sponsor. So pin the goddamn fucking link in chat. You know the code. Show GG 7111. Go ahead.
In this round.
Also, wrong overlay, by the way. Just real quick. Wrong overlay.
Wrong
by the
overlay.
way. Because I did send you a more updated one, but this
I'm
is
slowly working on rolling them out, but the updated one is going to be very hard. You don't understand how hard it is to set all this shit up, okay? So fuck you.
Yeah, that's why I
Also,
sent it to you like 4 days ago.
robnoerr. Yeah, and then you spent a ton of other messages, okay? I don't keep track of my shit like that. Pin messages, you cuck. robnoerr. You've won this round.
My man!
Oh!
Well,
You know what? I don't get a vote. My vote is your vote. Go ahead.
Rob, you get to axe either Lycan or Prime Kai's. Uh-oh.
Well, Lycan, you seem like a decent guy, so I'll axe you because then I'll spare you getting your ass kicked like the rest of these four are about to get. So.
Wow.
You're a
Rob
coward.
is gonna work up
You
to
knew
a
it was gonna fucking come down to
1v5?
You and I was going to
1v4?
destroy you, and you're
We
getting
can
rid
do
of
it
me
one-on-one anytime. You pick the topic.
Rob, you said that he was nice, but he was the one holding the sign that said that you're like cock hungry or something like that right over you. You really just gonna let him forget that?
No, I thought it was funny. You can make fun of me too. That's kind of what's going on here.
He's a
I
conservative.
don't
He
think
likes jokes.
Yeah.
Rob, I believe in
censor
your
me.
underdog story, Rob. Okay, it's going to be 1v5, then 1v4, then 1v3. I believe in you.
Well, I have to lose the last round, or else the content would be boring. Just you four sitting around agreeing with each other. It'd be fucking stupid.
True.
Oh, it's lefties. We'll find something that's 2% different to fight.
You're right. Someone's pronoun was mislabeled or some shit. I know how you roll.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right, so that's it for me, right? We done?
Go ahead and shut yourself out, Lycan.
All right.
Appreciate you coming on.
Lycan on Twitter, Lycan GTV on Twitter. You all have a great night. Have fun. Happy fighting.
My Lycan.
Okay. Prime. Before I get on to the next question, which is related to what I'm about to ask you now, what are your thoughts on the U.S. dropping the nuke on Japan? Because I heard,
I have a lot to say about this.
You know what? I want us to talk about this because I believe you'll differ from everybody else on this panel, right? If I were to ask Erudite or Shrate or IMI or Rob, they'd probably say, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, you'd probably say that the U.S. was justified with dropping the nuke, correct? Go ahead and say correct or wrong, guys.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
Depends on which
Okay.
one. First or second.
Okay, there we go.
They weren't.
Wait, that they're justified in
to.
dropping it,
I
or
got
they're
the
not
consent.
justified?
They're justified in dropping
Justified.
They were.
It was the
The
right
U.S.
thing to do.
No,
were
it
not.
wasn't. No.
it. Okay, Prime, go ahead and take us through your thoughts.
They
Go.
were absolutely not a right to drop those bombs. It was completely unnecessary. There are several options available to them, and they specifically went for the option for mass destruction. Those cities weren't any Hiroshima and Nagasaki weren't important industrial bases. In fact, if they were important industrial bases, they would have been bombed before because we had been doing a bombing campaign across Japan the entire goddamn time. We could have done a test, right? Like if we wanted to show the destructive power, that this is like we have the power of God here in America, right? We could have done another test, like the Trinity test, which was done weeks beforehand. We could have brought representatives from the different nations, including Japan, and saying, "Well, this is what we'll do to you if you fuck with us." It could have been that simple, but we specifically went with the mass murder option. No, that was not necessary at all. And the final point is Japan did not have the ability to prosecute the war. At that point, Japan had lost. They were encircled. We had a blockade. We had dominance over their skies, which is why we could bomb those other cities previously. Not the nuclear bomb, but like firebombing their other cities. And so they were going to lose. There was no reason to drop those bombs.
Let me ask you this, because I'll admit to not being a good student of history, so anyone could answer this. How long was it between they dropped the bomb on Hiroshima versus Nagasaki? How many hours, how many days?
I think it's
3
like
days?
a day, couple days or so.
No, 3 days.
3 days. So if you're right, and so let's just go with your argument here. If we would have tested the bomb and said, see, look how badass we are, now surrender, and they would have surrendered, why didn't they surrender in those 3 days once Hiroshima went up?
Oh, well, Japan, the Japanese junta, right, that was in charge, they didn't really give a shit about their population, right? That wasn't like an importance to them. They were an authoritarian government. And also in a very inefficient one. They had meetings about the situation, but it didn't actually change their minds, right? They're like, oh, another city got bombed, right? It was simply that a city got destroyed more efficiently. You dropped one bomb rather than carpet bombing the cities, which we had done previously before. We had already leveled a bunch of cities. So dropping on two more or destroying two more cities didn't actually make a difference to them.
So why did they surrender after Nagasaki?
They were already defeated.
Well, that's
Yeah,
but
I'm,
saying that
I'm literally citing the opinion of General Eisenhower, who was the commander of the Allied forces of Europe. I'm not even kidding. Look, like this is literally what Eisenhower said. First, on the basis of my belief that Japan was already defeated and that dropping the bomb was completely unnecessary. And secondly, because I thought that our country should avoid shocking world opinion by use of a weapon whose employment was, I thought, no longer mandatory as a measure to save American lives. It was my belief that Japan was, at the very moment, seeking some way to surrender with a minimum loss of face.
Okay, so
there's literally no need to fucking do it. This is General Eisenhower at the time.
And what Eisenhower said there was absolutely the case. So, like, and you may not know this, but what Japan was looking for was help from Russia, right? Now, Russia and them weren't necessarily friends, but what they were going to use the Russia as a intermediary for negotiations with the rest of the world. But they think that they didn't want, right? At least the junta, right? What they didn't want was for the emperor to be dethroned or executed. Right, so that was the thing that we're holding out.
Yeah,
for,
they were willing to surrender. They just wanted a conditional surrender, even though they really weren't in a position militarily to demand that.
We knew that,
Bro,
right? So we had already broken their codes for their international cables, and we saw them talking to their diplomats in Russia, and this was the thing they were waiting for. And then later on,
holy history lesson. Fuck. Go ahead, keep going, teacher. I'm taking notes. When's the test? Jesus. Quiz. Keep going.
I'm sorry. I was asked a question and I'm answering the question. So I don't know. And anyway, later on, when we did give them that insurance, we did a letter specifically from, I think it was our Secretary of State. I could be wrong about that. But we did send them a letter, obliquely letting them know that the emperor wasn't going to get executed or anything like that. Then they surrendered.
So Ira, if you want to go ahead.
Just real quick. Hold on. Just super quick. This is my second only one, okay? First of all, good job, Kai. You're correct on almost everything, but I'll give you a couple of things that I think we should all know, okay? Just a quick thing. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were important military targets. They weren't just civilian populations. That's not true. Nagasaki was an incredibly important port city, and I'm pretty sure Hiroshima had like army communication stuff, and there was stuff being manufactured in both cities as well. Number one. Second thing is, Kai, you were pretty correct, but you something you kind of missed is you were right that Japan was looking for the Soviet Union to mediate their disagreement. 2 days after the first bomb, the Soviet Union betrayed their pact on Japan and declared war. That was a huge factor in why I don't even know if they gave a fuck about the atomic bomb. So yeah, just as a
I didn't get a chance to mention that. No, but like, yes, you're right. There was an invasion, and it's not. Sorry, I'll amend my statement. It's not that they didn't have like a military or industrial facilities in those cities. I'm saying that the most important cities were already taken care of. It wasn't necessary for us to win this war by dropping those bombs, right? Because that's the argument. Like, oh, these were super important, so they were valuable military targets to hit. They weren't, right? We had already won the war anyway. They could not prosecute that war. They had lost.
But that's sort of irrelevant. Whether or not, go ahead.
If I could just argue. So I'm going to be super open that like my knowledge on World War II is actually like pretty minimal because I'm not a white guy who just watched World War II documentaries. My understanding though with the first one is that the Japanese approach to war specifically was that when the first bomb was dropped, that there was no inkling that any surrender was coming up, that they were basically going to fight like to the bitter end, because that was very much like the Japanese mantra under the emperor was like fighting to the bitter end. This is why you had like crazy like Japanese soldiers being found like years later that were still fighting to the bitter end. My understanding though, this is why I'm not as pro the second one, is that there was some intel that came out that before the second bombing that they were planning to surrender, and then the second bomb dropped, and that Nagasaki was actually a secondary option. They were planning to bomb an arsenal. So that's my understanding. So I can see arguments for the second, but the first one about being like, well, they were already going to surrender, they had already lost, I don't see. Again, maybe it's my lack of knowledge.
They just wanted a conditional surrender, Kyla.
Yeah, they just wanted a conditional surrender.
And like the logic that you were attacking Rob on earlier is the same logic you're using now, that just because they were going to fight till the bitter end doesn't mean that they were actually in a position to do so. I don't know if they would have done it.
And the reason why they were going to fight, the reason why they were going to fight, right? Like what they wanted to do was to draw the Americans into a land invasion. Then they would have done that bitter end fight that you're talking about. But all they were doing was just bombing them and blockading them. And like, then there's nothing they could do because they literally, their navy was gone. Their navy was past tense at that point.
Okay.
So,
all right. I get it. I appreciate everything you're saying. I too will admit to being grossly uninformed about this, but I'm just trying to debate to keep it interesting. So just assuming what you're saying is true, there's just things that are popping into my mind, right? So for example, I agree with Erudite. Perhaps what we should do is say, well, was the first bomb legitimate? Let's say what Destiny said is correct, that 2 days after the bombing of Hiroshima, Russia backed out, and that's when Japan realized, well, we're fucked. Did they back out because they saw the bomb? Is that what changed Russia's mind?
Oh, no. Russia was going to... Russia had decided on invading beforehand. They were like prepping for that invasion. In fact, they moved up their date of invasion because it was going to be later on. I think August 15th when Japan actually ended up surrendering. So they moved up... they wanted spoils. What they wanted to do was take back territory that they had lost to Japan. So they wanted those spoils. So that's what they...
I mean, it
guys,
seems to me...
we have a wonderful opportunity to attack Rob here on politics, and we're debating history. Come on, what is this question, Quiznos?
Yeah, if you want me to ask, we're going to do another question.
This is the debate on some history, man.
Let me just say, I agree with you. I'd like to talk about something, but let me just say this one real quick point, right? Like, there seems to be a philosophical discussion that could be had. Is it worth to kill other lives to save American lives? So if the war would have continued and caused the deaths of 10,000 more U.S. soldiers, was it worth killing 1 million Japanese or something? But listen, I understand, but there's a philosophical argument. If we are willing to say protecting American lives was more important, I'm willing to bet. I could be wrong. I'm just taking a stab here. I bet that part of dropping the bomb was these two things. One, because we have it and we want to see how cool it is. And second, to show the rest of the world, fuck you. Right? And so I think that was probably a lot of it. And the question is, did that change how the Soviet Union acted? Did that change how other potential enemies acted in the next years?
Why don't we talk about that in the abstract rather than with Japan? Because we weren't going to invade. It wasn't going to save lives because we had already blockaded them. So we weren't going to like have that land invasion. And I don't want to spread that disinformation. So instead, like,
Okay.
if we fight country X, right, and it's going to save like American lives, like can we drop a bomb and kill a shit ton of people? I'd be willing to have that philosophical debate.
Well, I mean,
So,
the other thing.
just to
Oh, go ahead, Aaron.
clarify a little bit of history, just so that we're understanding. Now, again, I could be wrong. I'm just reading the stuff. I'm not pretending to be super informed, and I try to be cautious about what I say. What I'm reading off of like a history like lecture is between mid-April 1945 and mid-July, Japanese forces inflicted Allied casualties totaling nearly half those suffered in the 3 full years of war in the Pacific, proving that Japan had become even more deadly when faced with defeat. In late July, Japan's militarist government rejected the Allied demand for surrender and put forth the Potsdam Declaration, which threatened the Japanese with the prompt and utter destruction if they refuse. So the idea of like, well, they were already lost. There was like no reason to. Just because we're saying that they were all these things.
Where were those deaths? Where were those deaths?
Most of them are going to be at like things like Pearl Harbor and like military casualties.
No, Pearl
Are you talking about
Harbor
the Americans?
afterwards.
Are you
No,
talking about the
you're
American
saying
deaths?
yeah. You said like they inflicted casualties. Where did those casualties happen? Because that's important, right? Like,
I'll have to look it up. Like I said, I'm
right?
not a buff.
So if it's like in a direct battle, like in Okinawa, then yeah, I would agree. Like, and that's why I would have said that a land invasion. If our options were that to end this war, it was a land invasion or drop the bombs, then it's different. But that's what wasn't our options at that point. Right?
But
like, we had already.
Can I ask one more clarifying question? You said that they wanted this conditional surrender, that their emperor. Can you give me the 10-second version of what they wanted?
They wanted their guarantees that their like the emperor's status.
Japan
would
wanted
be
to avoid
maintained.
an unconditional surrender. They want the condition being that they got to preserve the Japanese emperorship.
Okay, they didn't get that in the end, correct?
No.
Okay, so then the question is,
How can we pit Hunter Biden into this, guys?
The Japanese emperor is still around, like so they actually did get that conditional surrender. So like they had unconditional surrender on paper, right? But literally we had guarantees.
Prime, stop. Listen, when I fucking speak, stop fucking talking. Thank you very much. Okay. I want to address. I'm really important. Listen, generic-looking white guy. Listen. Generic NPC white guy. If you don't have the knowledge, shut the fuck up or I'll mute you, asshole. If you don't have the knowledge to contribute to this, topic, I suggest you do the like and strat, shut the fuck up, sit in the corner, and hope you're not gonna fucking get kicked, right? Thank you very much, Prime. Apologies. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
He is pretty fly, though. You have to give him that.
So they did sign unconditional surrender, but like we had sent them a letter beforehand that implied that the Japanese emperor would not be like executed or anything like that. So they understood that was the case, and then like, okay, we'll surrender. And the Japanese emperor still around, like the role still there, though obviously greatly reduced.
I mean, I just think that go ahead.
Didn't they? Okay, again, now I'm just reading. It sounds like the reason why they said that so again, I could be wrong. I'm not going to have a strong opinion on this. But what I'm reading says that Truman was advised to not have like a land invasion because they were suspecting that the death toll for Americans would be potentially up to 1 million because the Japanese were very, very good at land invasions and it put them at a disadvantage. And so in many ways, again, I think the second bombing, it's like everything I've heard about it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. The first one, though, is a lot more in the muddy gray area where like, I don't know if you can just argue it's obviously both. They should have just obviously gone for other options, especially when you're saying, oh, well, of course the Japanese were going to lose. And it's like, that's the point. That's the whole fucking point, is that the Japanese were going to lose. And there were 2 options: force them to end sooner or fight with them to the bitter end and have tons and tons of casualties.
Hold on. That literally doesn't matter because this is what you're doing, right? Like you're going in the you're using the meme that if we had invaded, we would have lost a bunch of lives. I have already agreed to that. I've stated that previously. We would have lost a bunch of lives. That was the plan. In fact, they wanted the invasion of the Japanese. They wanted the government. They wanted the invasion, so they wanted to draw us in like Afghanistan style and have us have a bunch of losses. And so to win through a land invasion would have been so costly that they could have gotten us to the negotiating table to have a discussion to a negotiated surrender. That was the plan, yes. And Truman was rightly told, don't have a land invasion, which is why we weren't going to have a land invasion. We knew
Okay,
what they
but
wanted.
if I can
And we've
respond,
been-
if I
we've
can
been
respond,
airstriking
We had
this entire
intelligence.
time.
if I can
Just last. We had intelligence telling us exactly what they were holding out for, right? Just like our friend Aaron said already, they wanted that negotiated surrender in terms of like keeping the emperor. Once we gave them obliquely that insurance, then they surrendered.
Okay,
So done.
that's the part of it I don't know. Like, and you could be absolutely right. I don't know what our intelligence that we had then was and what was being told to Truman, but I'll say this. It seems to be contradictory on another part of what you're saying, which is you said earlier that the Japanese junta didn't give a shit about their cities, and we were carpet bombing the shit out of them, and they just didn't give a fuck, right? And so if you're United States and you're looking at it that way, and you're like, well, shit, we keep bombing these cities, and they're dug in. They don't give a fuck. And the only way we could ever end this war is to have a land invasion, but we know if we do that, millions will die, and so instead we're going to do this option of the bomb. So all of that all makes sense to me. This all hinges then on your argument that no, Truman and the United States knew they could have ended it at any minute by just saying, yeah, we'll allow the emperor to stay.
You're fucking wrong. You're just wrong. Okay,
What did
unless
Wikipedia
all of
say?
these
You're right.
sources-
What did
Are you talking to
Wikipedia
me
say?
or who?
About interrupting or being white.
What? Wait.
I can't keep up.
Wow, what an explosive
Thank God.
question asked right at the end of the round, where we are now voting to keep, not kick. Good luck, guys. Your
Yeah,
rounds
I
are
did.
heating up.
Who were you saying was wrong, Erudite? Me? Or,
Yeah, I didn't know.
Or Prime?
Prime about.
Oh, then
Prime and
please
Aaron
talk.
about The surrender shit. The surrender shit. You guys are just fucking wrong
What-
about
what-
this.
You said you
what?
didn't have strong opinions
About
on
what?
this or know anything about it, Erudite. I know you have like really hot takes on it.
Yeah, please tell me, what was I wrong about?
So again, what I'm reading is that there were small groups within Japan, in the government specifically, that did want peace, and they were negotiating with the Soviet Union to try to be a mediator between the Soviet Union, the U.S., and Japan to get peace.
Which is what I
However,
said.
the Supreme War Council, which was the major leading group within Japan, had all of the military might behind it and had most of the political might behind it, was not interested in surrender and was not interested in the peace treaty that the own Japanese group created. They were not on board with it.
Hold on. I never. Wait a minute. Is it so?
Do you want to clap back, Aaron?
Yeah. Don't worry. Right, because there was a mix, right, like that. There were of like the military junta, and I'm just calling them a junta, but I'm not sure maybe if that's the correct term. But of them, there was a split, right? Just like you said, there were pockets that wanted a surrender, and they were just fine if the only thing they had gotten was the emperor staying on top, right? And then there was the more militaristic side, right, that wanted a far more concessions, right? And specifically, also the emperor needs to stay on top, right?
Whoa! However, we might never ever know the answer to that because we have come to the end of our voting for round 3, and we have on top. Who was on top last time?
Rob.
You won a second time in a row.
Oh, wow.
Whoa.
However, since you won twice in a row, the sword passes to Erudite, and she must remove the head of either Prime Kai's or Straighterade. Oh no.
I hate picking. I really don't like this rule. Oh, fuck. Make your arguments. For why you should stay.
Where we should stay? I'm waiting for a cue to not have a dog shit question, and then we can actually all debate about something interesting instead of us being forced to fucking Google history.
By the way, I gotta serve him you 5 minutes. Congratulations. You earned it. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. You earned it. You earned
a
it.
very good argument, okay?
Anybody,
Aaron takes an L for everyone
just
else.
shut the fuck up. I'm talking. Anybody who disses the questions, it's an automatic 5. Do it again. It's an automatic kick. You could suck my black balls, all of you. Okay, go ahead, Prime.
I'll pass.
Make your case to the white woman.
Once again, I have provided them for entertainment. Before it would have, if I had been gone previously, you wouldn't have had this history lesson. And I'm very willing to, when Erudite gets educated on this, right? Because she's not now. But when she gets educated on this, I would love to have one-on-one.
Citing Hasagawa exclusively and not knowing anything. Okay, base, go off.
Okay, but yeah, anyway, no, whatever. I provided them for entertainment this time, so.
That's true. Look, Prime, you've been on the chopping block a couple of times. Aaron, it's your first time. Aaron also stood up against our tyrannical Somalian overlords.
This is why we get a vote, Lil Steve. She's
I
about
have
to be caught. Watch.
to cut Prime this time.
Congratulations.
Oh.
Congratulations.
My
Prime,
God.
you've been a victim of retardation. Go ahead and shut yourself out.
It's okay. All right. And look, I'm not streaming, so I don't have anyone to vote for me. So I'm always going to be on the bottom. So that's fine. That's fine. But thank you for having me here. Shout out to Karantos for reaching out to me. That's really kind of you. Shout out to Destiny for hosting this. And to all of them. Like, I liked all these people. Nice to meet you, Aaron. Yeah, so my name is Prime Kai, PrimeCayes. You're going to pronounce it Prime K's. It's okay. It's fine. But you can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Twitch. We do panels and we yell at each other all the goddamn time. It's a lot of fun. Come through, and I have only right opinions. Thank you so much.
There you go. Appreciate you for coming on.
Yep.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Wow, guys. 15 minutes left. Look where we're at.
By the way, Lil Steve, you could unmute her. My hand just can't allow me to click that server mute again. Anyways, guys, congratulations for making this, show kind of entertaining. Rob, I'm talking to you, honestly.
Thank you.
I am keep yourself safe. You're Erudite. Good job. Okay, you're doing your thing. Before we start, again, might I remind you, ladies and gentlemen, HelloFresh, 50% off, okay? Code SHOWGG7111. Mods, please link the goddamn shit in chat and pin it. Thank you very much. Third question time. Recently, there was a congressional hearing about UFOs, or as they're known, UAPs, and aliens. A whistleblower also came out alleging that the U.S. had knowledge of extraterrestrial, I think I said it right, life, aka aliens. Firstly, do you believe aliens are real? Or do you think that the US government is using this news as a smokescreen to hide the shit that's going on within its government so that they don't want people to know about? Basically a psyop. You know what? Let me start off with straight away. You know what I mean? How was that question? Was that question to your liking? Would you like me to rephrase? Would you like me to ask you a different question? Or do you have something to contribute?
No, it's top tier question, Karantos. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
I love it.
It really is. Go ahead and answer then.
Obviously, aliens are fucking real. Clearly.
It was a two-part question. Do I need to remind you of the second one?
Please.
Okay, Rob.
I heard them both. I can answer. Yeah, no need to repeat. I thought the question was great. Now, I think the aliens probably exist. I also think that the second part of this question is accurate as well. That anytime they announce something like this, that they seem to have been hesitant or not even want to breathe a word for years and years, you have to question why they might be doing that. So could it be that they're questioning it because they want to cover up through corrupt things that are clearly happening in our government right now to give people something to talk about? That could be. Or if you want to be even more conspiratorial, you could say, well, maybe the aliens have told them you have like 5 years to announce it to prep or something like that. I don't believe that's what's going on. One of the things I thought was interesting in the small bit of the testimony I heard, they kept talking about finding non-human life. But my question is, does that mean that it was their determination it was extraterrestrial? For example, the Soviet Union could put some classified tech out there years ago with monkeys piloting. So if we find the wreckage of that and we say we don't recognize this, it's alien tech to us in the sense we don't know what it is, and there's non-human life. It was very vague in how they worded that. And even when they do disclose things that people are like, oh my God, the government's finally disclosing, it's always going to be done in a way that benefits them. So I'm not saying that it's definite that aliens don't exist and that all this testimony was bullshit, but you should always question the timing of it and what they're withholding when they tell you it.
I think aliens are real. Why not? Do I think that like what we found are like extraterrestrial aliens? Not really. I suspect what happened. I suspect what actually is happening is that the whistleblower is pointing out to like serious treason and like misallocation of funding. He's using like aliens to like pop off a little bit, and that he is genuinely under like concern about like getting like basically popped off. I'm dubious that like only aliens are only choosing America. Maybe because America's a superpower, aliens are like, hot damn, yes. And maybe there's like a whole group colluding, like all the global superpowers are colluding together to like hide aliens broadband. But I suspect what's more happening is that he's a whistleblower of like actual like misallocation of funds within the military and like some serious like whistleblowing there. And he's using the claim of aliens in part to like kind of go off on TikTok and trend, because if his face is out there and then he suddenly dies, that's going to be really fucking sus. That's what I think is probably more likely happening. But like, hell, if it's aliens, I don't know. Nobody cares because our rent is still too expensive. So,
in a weird way, that's more conspiratorial than me, which is funny.
After 2 questions about freedom of speech and some World War II history debate, I can appreciate this question, Quiznos. So thank you for bringing this up. I saw the hearing. I think there's some aliens out there. I don't think we've contacted them. I think these witnesses are full of shit. But it was nice to see the Republicans actually act like real members of Congress and hold a serious hearing. Joe Biden only got brought up once, believe it or not. They took a break from showing Hunter Biden's big dong in hearings and decided to play Congress members. So I thought it was really nice. And look, it uplifted whistleblowing in general, kind of giving respect to have people come out and blow the whistle on things. So I thought it was interesting. I'll tell you that.
It's funny to hear a lefty once more celebrate whistleblowers. This is normally the standard they have. If it's a whistleblower that makes Donald Trump or Republicans look bad, then that whistleblower is sacrosanct. We can't even say their name. They're a national hero. If it's whistleblowers from the FBI, IRS, or a litany of other places that are talking about the corruption of the Biden administration or of the establishment FBI and such, then all of a sudden they're alleged whistleblowers. And it's funny he mentions bringing up Biden. Yeah, the dude's the current president. I know you just want to focus on Trump, you and your party the whole time. Yeah, who would have thought that people want to focus on the fucking president?
A whistleblower. This is a whistleblower about the military complex, which both sides of the party, to some degree, would have relationships with, and would also want to be protecting to some degree, according to your conspiracy theory. So the idea that like this whistleblower is cool and based to lefties because there's like some weird political dunk. The reason why people think it's cool is because we're talking about fucking aliens, and it's exciting that maybe after the invention of AI, maybe we've got aliens too.
Did you listen to what he said? He said it's talking about whistleblowers. He wasn't just saying aliens. He was saying the idea of whistleblowers in general. He's glad that that's being brought.
Well, Rob,
I listen. I know you don't, Erudite. Keep it up.
So
the whistleblowers Go ahead, Erudite. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say there's a really big difference between some of the whistleblowers that lefties roll their eye at. And in fairness, I think lefties roll their eyes at too many whistleblowers on the right that they shouldn't have, right? Like Epstein was real, and we got to fucking deal with that, right? We have to think about that. And he probably, well, let's be honest,
there's whistleblowers that the left champions, like Snowden, Chelsea Manning.
There are, right? It just tends to be like, we tend to like whistleblowers that have lots of credentials behind their name, which this guy does, right? He's very high up, so he seems more reputable. Versus like if there's whistleblowers that happen to be like they live in their parents' basement and they're crazy and they've like been selling snake oil for 15 years and now they're talking about how like Hunter Biden's dick is actually personally responsible for the Russian invasion of Ukraine because Russia.
I missed that one. Can you give me a link to that?
That's going to be an issue, right?
Which one was that? Was that Shapely at the IRS, or was that Ziegler? You know, the gay Democrat. Which one was that? Can you point to that?
I think it was the arms dealer that's on the run. She's probably talking about the arms dealer that's on the run right now.
The business contact of Hunter Biden, that guy?
Okay. For the autism, the Hunter Biden dick joke was a joke. I don't actually think Hunter Biden's dick is personally responsible for the war in Russia. Nor do I think anyone's
Don't explain your joke.
Nor do I think anyone is saying that.
Don't explain your joke. It makes it less funny. It wasn't that funny in the first place, but trust me.
Try not to autistically fight with the joke afterwards.
No, what I was fighting with was the straw manning of like, well, we like whistleblowers that are credentialed. My question to you is, which whistleblower? I
didn't say that. I just didn't say that.
You literally did. You said whistleblowers that have heavy credentials, like this alien guy, we like him. But people that live in their mom's basement and dick joke. And I was asking you, can you name me the whistleblower that's like that? Name me the whistleblower that you think is uncredentialed. That's what I was getting to.
To be honest, I'm not super in on all of your right-wing whistleblowers, so I'm sure that among
the people that
you're going to list.
Oh, I am.
They could give me a left-wing whistleblower. Go ahead. Name me the one you're referring. You're clearly referring to some whistleblowers are just uncredible. I'm just asking you for an example. Yes. Give me an example.
She's probably talking about Gall Luft, the guy
Alex
who's
Jones is a much less
credible
whistleblower. Yes,
how is he a whistleblower?
He's a whistleblower in the fact that he is like most dominant for spreading conspiracy theories and talking about them. In fact, he was charged for spreading the conspiracy theory about Sandy Hook. And I would say in general, even though he was right about Epstein, and it's a little weird to think about Alex Jones being right about some of these things, he's also been really fucking wrong about a lot of things that he's been whistleblowing on, like the Sandy Hook case that's gotten.
I think you're being very liberal with the word whistleblower here.
Why would Alex Jones be a whistleblower? He's just a conspiracy theorist. What are you talking about?
Okay.
Whistleblowers are specific, right? There's a legal definition.
How is Alex Jones a
Wait, hold on,
whistleblower.
Rob. Hold on, Rob. You're that. Argue your point. How's Alex Jones a whistleblower? Go ahead.
Okay, here I'll give you an example of a basement dwelling instead. So we can
Googling, getting Wikipedia. Here we go.
The Discord leaker in the Air Force was literally a basement dweller. It's just some random.
Okay,
fuck.
cool. But how is Alex Jones a whistleblower?
Okay, Alex Jones claimed tons of his info came from inside sources.
But that doesn't make him a whistleblower.
That's not a whistleblower. That just makes he's a conspiracy theorist. That means he asserted something without evidence. That's cool. Like,
Holy
but
shit.
Nonetheless,
Okay,
it's a
being
point that
whistleblower.
doesn't. Let's save you,
According
Erudite.
according to him, his sources came from inside the government. I'm sorry.
And why
are
would
we
you take Alex Jones at his word?
Why? Okay. First of all, Aaron, keep up. I'm not taking Matt at his word. I think he's a whistleblower in the fact that he's making up conspiracy theories and he tries to portray himself as a
no,
whistleblower.
exactly.
He
He's
does
making
both
up
of these-
conspiracy theories. He doesn't. You don't need to call him a whistleblower. You can just get rid of that part.
Okay, we're doing word games. Do you agree that Alex Jones is a credible source of information from inside the government, Aaron? Do you think that Alex Jones is a good source?
No.
Do you think that he has popularized lots of inside source conspiracies from within the government on his show?
I'm going to answer yes to all these questions that still won't make him a whistleblower. What has he blown the whistle on?
Right, what you're describing, Erudite's a reporter, right? Reporters listen to whistleblowers and then say someone from inside the government. That might be a
fine.
whistleblower told me. But
I'm gonna
let's
talk
say
about- I'm gonna broaden it to the fact that, you know what, lefties in general don't listen to anyone who popularizes ideas that spread all over. So just to be clear, a person who informs on an organization engaged in illicit activity is technically a whistleblower.
No,
by
that's
the
a
definition.
reporter. That would be like saying Glenn Greenwald is a whistleblower because he reported on Edward Snowden.
Edward Snowden's a whistleblower.
Edward Snowden is a whistleblower, exactly, but that wouldn't
Wait,
make
hold on.
anyone
You
who
guys are,
reports
I don't
on
know how
that.
you guys are all missing the critical definition. So a whistleblower is usually somebody that is part of the organization that they're
Right.
informing on. That's what a whistleblower is.
Yes.
So, for instance, Alex Jones is connected to people that are ostensibly whistleblowers, or they don't exist, I'm not sure. But like the whistleblower is a person that comes from an organization and then they report about that organization, essentially. That's a whistleblower.
There are legal protections for that legal definition of if you're in the FBI and blow the whistle. Nonetheless, let me white knight and save
Sure.
Erudite and go over
You
to
don't need
I'm
to.
really
Actually,
important.
You don't need to. I'm
Trust
going to use
me.
the word. I'm
You
going to use
wish.
the word. Hold on. I'm going to bypass the autism. I'm going to use the word blah 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 to reference people who popularize ideas that
You don't have
seem
to do
come
that.
from
You just don't have to
inside
call Alex
sources.
Jones a
I tried.
whistleblower.
I tried to
I
help
don't care
you.
about your autism.
Take the L.
I'm going to use the word
Just
blah
take
blah
the
blah
L.
blah.
It's no
What-
big deal.
Concede
It's
on
a
it.
fucking
Just concede
loss.
on that point. He's not a
I am.
whistleblower.
I literally am. I don't care.
Take the L. You lost that argument. No big deal. It's not big in the grand
True.
scheme of things.
Hold
Now
on.
back to
Yes. Hold on.
Okay, keep digging the
fine.
hole. I'm cool with it.
Sure. Hold on. He's not a whistleblower. Can we go back to the actual?
Yes, that's what we were trying to do. Thank you for admitting that after 5 minutes of wasting our time. IRI, you talked about this guy. I have a question for you. Were the two IRS whistleblowers credible?
Is that for me? The
Yes.
investigator?
Yes, you watched
Yes,
this.
they were.
How about the two
But
FBI?
There's
the
another
three
side
FBI
to their
ones?
story, Rob.
Okay.
There's another side to their story. The U.S. Attorney, David Weiss, he refutes what they say. And you know what? He's the guy who makes the decisions. So they sound like two disgruntled employees.
We saw what Weiss's decision was and his incredible debacle of trying to give immunity to Hunter Biden for things such as FARA violations, where he was clearly influencing at the behest of
No.
foreign governments his father. Yes,
That judge,
that's
the
what
plea
that.
deal fell apart because the judge looking out for Hunter to make sure he knew he was pleading guilty to, and he'll be back in a couple weeks. He'll be fine. But
It fell apart.
that's between Hunter and the prosecutor, the Trump-appointed U.S. Attorney
There
David
you
Weiss,
go.
by the way.
Keep drumming that point, right? It means nothing to me. I don't give a fuck about Trump. You think I'm some sycophant for him? I think he was
yeah.
terrible, and the people he appointed, and they were out to get him the whole
Look,
time.
look.
Just like Chuck Schumer said, the FBI would find 6 ways of Sunday of getting back at him. All's
Here
you
we
have,
go.
for someone who watches C-SPAN constantly on your channel, which by the way I applaud you for. I think it's a niche market, and you've cornered that. Good for you, right? But for someone who watches this shit, you know next to fucking nothing. It's,
I know a lot, Ron.
Oh, really? Okay, well, if that's the case, right, then let's talk about Weiss. You want to talk about this agreement that they had, the plea agreement? Now, he was asked
do it.
specifically by the judge, has there
Sweetheart
ever,
deal.
can you think of a plea agreement that has ever occurred like this? And what was his answer?
It's the president's son. Of course, it's a unique
Oh,
situation, Ron.
so there is a unique standard when it comes to Hunter Biden.
There's always going to be when it's the president's son or something like this. Yeah.
Now, then, let me
and
ask
you know what?
you,
We're over-prosecuting him, Rob. They're
Oh, sure.
over-prosecuting
Do you think he
him.
committed
He's
FARA?
sorry for Hunter Biden.
Oh, let me keep it to the, do you think that the alien stories covering up for the fact that he committed FARA violations?
The alien stories covering
I was
up?
just
What do you
trying to
mean?
link it. Do you think that Hunter Biden committed
Oh.
FARA violations?
That'll be up to David Weiss to commit. The
It
only
seems
thing Hunter
pretty
Biden is
evident,
guilty
right?
of is selling the illusion of access. That's it, and that's what Dave Archer, or Archer, confirmed as well.
That's
Devon
not what he
Archer on
confirmed. You
Monday.
haven't even seen his transcript, so we know that he issued. I've had this debate with Destiny 3 or 4 times. His excuse, and many people's excuse of why the quid pro quo of Joe Biden forcing a prosecutor to be fired that was looking into his son's company was that actually Shokin
quid pro
wasn't
quo.
investigating. If it's true that Devon Archer
said it was to their advantage to keep that prosecutor. But let me get everybody involved here. The reason why we like this whistleblower for the aliens is because it's actually a real whistleblower, unlike what your side has been bringing up. That's the strategy right now for Republicans. Let's hype up these whistleblowers.
Which whistleblower was fake?
Going back to the original point, which it's
exactly
not about fake, it's about
None.
credible. No,
Which
the
one was
entire
not
point-
credible? That's my point.
For example, the whistleblower that was on Discord in many ways doesn't seem like a super credible whistleblower, even though
He
it
was
doesn't seem-
credible. The information he released was real. He was just a criminal.
Keep up. The only statement I'm making right
Keep
now
up, Rob.
is that in general, the left tends to be more favorable towards people who have things like credentials behind their name as whistleblowers because they seem more legitimate. I'm not saying that the left doesn't eye roll at whistleblowers who are legitimate. That does happen. I'm saying the reason why certain things get eye rolled isn't this like pernicious secret conspiracy all the time. Sometimes it's just about the things that appeal to different bases.
Let me give you
education.
Speaking of lack of credentials, one of you is not going to have the credentials to say that you've gone on to round 5 of Keep or Kick because we were at the bottom of round 4 and it is time to vote who you want to keep, not kick.
Let me just say this.
Oh my goodness.
As people are voting, if I can say real quick, right? I don't know you very well, Erudite, so let's give you good faith that that's what you do. We can see that people in positions of power on the left, such as Democrat media, the Washington Post, New York Times, Democrat politicians, MSNBC, CNN, they've all treated with contempt these IRS whistleblowers and the FBI whistleblowers. They've called them so-called whistleblowers. So while it may be true that you are just strictly looking at people's credentials, it's clear that there is a double standard when it comes to many of these institutions. If the whistleblower is impugning establishment people like Joe Biden, they look at him skeptically. But if it's impugning Donald Trump, they say that they should be given near religious protection. Anyway, and aliens are based and great and whatever.
Wow. What a statement that Rob has made. Rob, that statement just won you.
I knew it.
Round 4.
I'm a fan, Rob. Honestly,
Thank you.
Could you sign? Like, I'll send you a shirt. I need it signed. Honestly,
Rob, you got an important decision to make, okay?
Okay.
And you're deciding between your best friend, the Fly Guy, I'm really important, and once again, Straighterade.
Oh my God! This is like
Let's
Dumb
think
and
on
Dumber.
this topic. I'm gonna go with Straighterade to be kicked because I like arguing about this shit. It's fun to pick on IRI because he actually watches this shit and still can't keep up with it. So we'll keep him around for an easy win.
commiserations. Straight away, you have been eliminated in round 4 of Kick or Keep, episode 9. Go ahead and shout yourself out.
I'm at Straighterade on everything. I had a good time debating tonight. I don't really know if this is politics, but yeah, I'm gonna go rub my pussy to the leaked photos of Hunter Biden's cock. So have fun, guys.
See, everyone wins
Nice.
with that kick. I did good.
You did. You really did. Oh, holy
Every
shit.
single Coomer has now left the chat. So thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the penultimate round. You see, big words. Thank you very much.
Big
Okay.
word.
Big word. For me, honestly, when you know 16 languages, these become big words. Believe it or not.
Like
Anyways, you guys brought it up a little bit, and I want to talk about it a little bit more. The Ukraine situation. And I want to start off with Rob. Let me ask you this. Should the United States be involved in the Ukraine conflict? What are your thoughts?
No, they shouldn't be. The reason that there's a conflict in the first place is because corrupt institutions in the United States have pushed a selfish foreign policy for so many years, and corrupt assholes in Russia have funded a selfish policy for years. And Ukraine, I feel terrible for the people that they've constantly been, since the dissolution of the Soviet Union, they don't have anyone representing them. They got people like Poroshenko that are basically just puppets of the Obama administration. And before that, who'd they have? Yanukovych or whatever, that was just basically a puppet of Russia. What happened happens is they're just victims of this proxy battle. There's all kinds of shit. I'm not one of these righties that's going to sit here and go, yay, Russia, fuck Putin. I hate it when the United States illegally invades countries, so I'm not going to cheer when Russia does it. But just like Ron Paul said after 9/11, we need to ask ourselves, were there policies that we instituted that made this more likely? Of course there were. We had biolabs that were stationed right in the border of Russia, which they had every right to be pissed about. We invaded Syria, which was their ally. We constantly expanded NATO. We meddled in the elections of Ukraine, whether it been a color revolution or even if you don't think there's enough evidence for that, it's clear that we supported that winner by basically financing their entire internal investigative units and police forces and supported people that were critical of Putin and people in Crimea's alliance with Putin. So I think that because the messenger of the United States has lied to us about Libya, lied to us about Syria, lied to us about Afghanistan, they are not the right messenger at this point in time to say we need to do something about sending weapons and being involved in Ukraine. They should be trying to have a peaceful resolution, and that's it. If we would have held them to account for their lies in Iraq, their lies in Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, and all of these places, maybe I would trust their credibility, but they deserve no credibility right now. They are selfish warmongers that should be called out in the hardest possible terms.
Lefties?
Benedict Rob over here. Of course we should be helping out our Ukrainian friends. We have our adversary Russia on their knees right now, hobbled by Ukraine. It's great for the United States of America. Don't have a single soldier on the ground. And this is wonderful. The more that Russia is caught up in this, the less problems they're causing around the world. This has caused China to think twice about messing with Taiwan. I don't even understand. Rob is convinced that they have biolabs where they were developing King Kong or something in Ukraine. It's ridiculous, man. What is wrong with you?
Can you confirm, Rob? Are they working on King Kong?
I cannot confirm they were working on King Kong. What I find interesting is that you had many ways to defend this. Oh, go ahead, Erudite, if you want to talk.
No. I just was noticing the pivot, the dance that we're going to do.
What's
you
the
want
pivot?
to directly respond to him?
Yeah, that's what I was going to do. I was going to say, he could have said, yeah, we need to be there to save the Ukrainian people. He didn't. He said, it's good we're there because we're crippling Russia and them doing things elsewhere and they're our enemy. Right, we know bloodthirsty fucking maniacs are okay sacrificing the people of Ukraine because it helps them in some other conflict that we could theoretically have with Russia in the future. You fucking monster. Got it.
Fuck Russia. Ukraine's sovereignty is base, but number one priority is to end, to avoid nuclear holocaust. So the way that America is going about supporting Ukraine is totally fine. We're completely allied with Ukraine because we don't like Russia. Fuck Russia. Have you ever thought about why fucking Russia's so big in the first place, right? And so Ukraine's
there's a lot of land there. That's just God made it that way. The volcanoes. Are we going to do a tectonic? Why is it so big? Geographically.
You think that Russia just happened to do a bunch of peace treaties and over time slowly got access to all this land? The reality is that in general, Russia and the USSR before this has a really long history of being extremely aggressive bullies, constantly taking over their neighbors, taking over their land, and insurrecting serious major issues. So now the USSR isn't the same thing exactly as Russia, but Ukraine has complete right to its sovereignty. It is saying absolutely no to Russia. And the reality is that, US is going to lie with Ukraine more than this. That's totally fine. And us supporting them the way that we are, which is not by stepping in or anything like that, but sending them militarily like might, is totally based and fine. Go US, go Ukraine.
Let me ask you this. You say Ukraine has a right to their sovereignty. Would you extend that to other countries as well?
Yep.
Does Syria have a right to their sovereignty?
Yep. Are you going to pivot into a whole different conversation?
Well, no. What I'm going to do is my entire...
Do you want to talk about Ukraine or do you want to talk about Syria?
Did you hear what my opening argument was? That even if there was a reason for intervention, the United States isn't the right actor because of how many times we've intervened illegally. So we're currently intervening illegally in Syria. We're violating Syria's sovereignty, which happens to be the ally of Russia. So do you think simultaneously we should support illegally invading Syria's sovereignty, but we have a moral high ground to say, but we could protect Ukraine's sovereignty?
Yes, absolutely. I do think that we have complete justification in going in Ukraine and protecting it in part and because of the way that we're going about supporting Ukraine. And the fact that in the case of Middle Eastern countries, there's an entirely different history going on there. We need to be really careful to not conflate, for example, Syria with Ukraine.
Would Russia, since Syria has a right to their sovereignty, would Russia be within their right to arm Syria with serious weapons like cluster bombs to attack U.S. interest?
I'm sorry. Wasn't Russia literally involved in helping? Russia was literally flying jets to do airstrikes into Syria. What kind of question is this? Also, the U.S. has not invaded Syria. There's no U.S. troops on the ground. I'm sorry. I want to interject.
No, the U.S. has invaded. In fact,
Rob. What message would this send to China for us to back off at this point? Don't you think that's a terrible message to send to China?
Sure, I promise I'll answer that, but let me go back to this point that Erudite and Destiny seem to be making. Thanks for trying to help her. At least we can have an intelligent conversation. What happens is we have invaded their sovereignty. In fact, Assad just came out with a couple other countries just the other day and demanded once more that the United States leave. Now, what the United States military-industrial complex does is this. They say, well, when we have troops in a country against that country's will, it's for a good reason. So that's technically not eroding their sovereignty. The idea that Russia has been bombing places in Syria, that's true. Russia has militaristically helped Syria, but not against U.S. troops, right? If we had evidence, at least to my knowledge, if we had evidence, for example, that Russia was giving cluster bombs to Assad and then Assad was dropping cluster bombs on U.S. troops, I'm pretty sure every United States citizen, myself included, would be furious about that. The Democrats would be furious. The Republicans would be furious. So it seems...
Literally, the violent groups attacking U.S. troops on the ground. Like, why do you think we fucking nuked them out of existence when they tried to, move on U.S. Special Forces in Syria? You're just wrong. Of course this happened. Yeah, what do you mean?
You're the host.
I'm sorry,
it's already a 1v2. Don't make it a 1v3. The fuck? Rob,
again,
I was shouting. They came in a point where I was saying, "Increase the shut up." My bad. That was
okay.
Strike it from the record. Nobody heard what he said. Go on, Rob.
Again, so then the question is, if you think that the United States is justified in helping Ukraine when they supplied weapons to attack Russia, who invaded sovereignty, then you shouldn't have a problem with Russia doing the same. If that's legitimate for the United States to do, then it should be okay for Russia to defend their ally when they are being.
No, stop. This is just a really bad false equivalency.
Why?
You're acting like the Ukraine situation is just wholly identical to the Syrian situation.
No two situations are
just not.
That's true.
Yeah, you're correct. And in the case of geopolitics, which I try my best to be very careful about what I speak about because it's fucking complex. Middle Eastern wars and proxy wars and all the Cold War shit that's going on there, plus militarized like terrorist groups that are popping off in the Middle East, is not the same thing as Ukraine versus Russia. And to act like these are the same situations, to act that like it's this simple conversation about sovereignty alone, in the case of Ukraine, there's a lot more of a simple distinction of, Ukraine is explicitly about sovereignty. In the case of Syria, you have a lot more complex, complicating factors about what is going to lead to people like moving in or out. And to act like these two things are identical is just silly. It's not the point. Do you want to talk about Ukraine, or do you want to just talk about other shit again?
I'll continue to talk about this if you don't mind. So what you see is people always make these hashtag. Democrats are excellent at this. Hashtag it's different. When we do the same thing we're accusing you of doing and saying it's wrong, it's different because we're morally justified. So she talked about sovereignty earlier. Now she defaults back to, well, it's not just about sovereignty. That sovereignty doesn't matter as much in Syria. Of course, she's right that no two situations are complete.
That's not.
Of course.
Stop. That is not what I said. I
Okay.
didn't say sovereignty doesn't matter in Syria. I said in the case of Ukraine, it's a lot more of a direct thing about talking about specifically sovereignty. In the case of Syria, there are a whole bunch of other complicated
Why doesn't their sovereignty matter?
Aren't just
Why doesn't Syria's sovereignty matter?
Rob, 1 second. What are these different complicating things, like complicated things with Syria that aren't present in Ukraine? Could you go more into it, Erudite?
Wait.
You could talk, but Rob's not gonna. It's you, yeah.
You're asking for Rob.
No, I'm asking you because you
Okay.
say it's different between Ukraine and Syria. How is it different?
ISIS. Okay, Ukraine doesn't have terrorist regimes that are growing up in them. So there's a really different dynamic going on between the US, ISIS, and Russia in Syria, whereas Ukraine, from my understanding, doesn't have a large group of individuals who are growing up terrorist regimes that are against any specific country or superpower, I should say, like Russia or the US. So that would be one major difference between Syria and Ukraine.
Again,
Rob, can I say... We did not do anything to provoke this. Russia was going to do this no matter what, Rob. So what are we supposed to just let them get in there and destroy the country and then keep going? What do you think we should do? Just stand by and not do anything?
Before you answer, Rob, you're but wasn't ISIS created in part thanks to US funding? Didn't you indirectly, or some would argue directly, help create ISIS?
Yeah, I would agree that in some ways, America did have some result in causing ISIS, which is again why this is more complicated. Again, though, in the case of Ukraine, we don't even have any of that. We don't have any of this going on. So when we're talking about sovereignty, there's an easier conversation than in the case of Syria, where we have things like ISIS, which yes, America did potentially help create, but also is a very threatening terroristic group that is doing demonstrable harm that is also going to be responded to directly by America.
I want to hear Rob's answer. What should we have done, Rob? Just
so there's
stand by?
5 questions directed toward me. I will get to all of them. But first, the idea that there weren't terrorists in Ukraine is not true. They might not have been targeting us, but the literal literal Nazis in the Azov battalion. We have evidence that they were, as far back as 2014, shelling actual citizens there. There are many people in Crimea that felt that they were brothers with Russia and wanted Russia to be there. That does not justify Russia's invasion, right? It does not. But to say that, well, it's unique. All of this, by the way, is just, if from your perspective, you're okay with the invasion, you will always find excuses. And this isn't yes, that's exactly,
No, in the
yes,
case of
that's exactly,
Syria-
that's exactly what's going on, right? And we're not just looking at this, right, in a vacuum. We can see the United States has lied about these wars over and over and over again. But this time, trust us, we had to violate Syria's sovereignty. Their sovereignty doesn't matter because they're fighting ISIS. So we have to be there fighting ISIS as well. And also we have to fight Assad while we're there. Trust us. This time it's okay. It's okay. Bullshit. It's the same bullshit that lied us into the Iraq war. This time it's different. It's the same bullshit that lied us into Afghanistan. And actually, Q's exactly right.
Rob?
Real quick. Actually, Q's exactly right when we talk about arming
like a
ISIS.
Russian bot.
Remember, it was considered a conspiracy theory in the 70s when we were arming the Mujahideen in Afghanistan to attack Russia, who later then became the Taliban and Al-Qaeda, which we then said, oh, we have to be there for 20 years to fight that war too. Now that we left, things are actually fucking worse than when we entered. And that's what will happen in Ukraine too. It's going to be a cesspool after we eventually leave and exploit those people.
We're not in.
That's exactly what's going to happen.
No,
That's exactly what's happening.
In the case of the Middle East and ISIS, for example, you need to be really careful because you're talking about, for example, an Islamic State with a terrorist group that's popping off within it, which is a very different type of country. It's a different type of governance. It's a different type of militant group than there is in Ukraine. Maybe you could argue Azov, I think that's who you're referencing, might be terroristic, but the idea that these are in any way comparable as countries is ridiculous. ISIS, for example, is just an Islamic State. And they're, according to themselves, a belligerently military state. They're open about the fact that they're a military state. So acting like ISIS is the same and Syria is the same as Ukraine is just wrong to do. All you're trying to do with this is you're trying to capture a couple of people with categories of being like, look, they look kind of similar, therefore we should lump them all together and dismiss US. You want to talk about lying about wars? Russia has lied about wars, about things that they are doing.
Yeah, I don't like Russia.
The idea, great.
I don't support their invasions. Just like you're the one supporting the United States invasion.
All you're doing right now is saying, well, look, U.S. has done lots of wrong things, and therefore they shouldn't be involved in the Ukrainian war, which is ridiculous. Even if you have a country that has done maximally wrong ever, if they involve themselves in a war and they do the right thing by that war, that's still a moral action. It's still okay. I'm just stand against America.
Can I real quick so we don't get bogged down on all the boring fact part, okay? I think broadly speaking, what Rob is arguing is Rob is saying that as a country, because of past actions, you can lose your moral authority to enact defensive action on behalf of another country. And the question is that true? If Hitler or Nazi Germany were to invade another country to save them from another invading force, would we acknowledge or accept like Nazi Germany's role in that? Or is it possible that a country can lose its moral mandate around the world to enact defensive actions on behalf of another country? That's probably what Robert
And it's not just, Erudite, you just had a chance. So it's not just that. It's also, can we trust what we're being told by these same people that have lied to us over and over? So one, there's a question of the moral authority, but second, for example, we've been told counter things. It depends on who you talk to that's supporting the Ukraine is their big thing right now. IRI will say, Russia's crushed. They don't have a chance. Dylan Burns that's over there told me first, he said, over a year ago, he said, Russia's lost. They don't have a chance. Then I debated him again. He said, well, what I meant by that is they won't be able to actually get to Kiev. And then he said, maybe theoretically they could get to Moldova, but they can't do anything else in NATO.
What are you talking about?
So we
just had a coup in their country. What are you talking about?
Cool. Then we
had
don't
an
have
attempted coup in their country.
Okay, cool. If
they
Russia's
have drones and missiles flying in the capital right now, Rob. What are you talking about? They're in a terrible position.
Okay, cool. So then we don't have to send any more money because they're done, right?
No, we're just getting started, baby.
Wait a minute. If they're crushed, if Russia's already lost, why the need to send billions more?
This is just the beginning, man. Imagine having
they're
a coup
not crushed
in Moscow, one of our adversaries' capitals. A mutiny is on the brink. This is amazing, man. We should fuel this. We should encourage this. We have the chance to knock one of our adversaries who turned into a paper tiger because of this conflict. We have a chance to knock them down, man. Kick them while they're down hard.
You see the duplicitous argument, and they've been doing this the entire time. They say on one hand, oh, you don't have to worry about your money being sent over there and then these weapons getting in the hands of terrorists or Russians or anything like that, because trust us, Ukraine's already got this wrapped up. And then they say on the other hand, but please send more money. We have to fight them over there so we don't fight them over here. My God, we'll all be speaking Russian next year. They're full of shit. They don't know what they're talking about. They continue to make these broad predictions. You haven't heard me make any of those predictions. I hope Russia loses fucking tomorrow. That's what I want. But the United States should not be there. We're prolonging the situation because people in the military-industrial complex want that situation prolonged, and it's the people of Ukraine that are suffering because of it.
This is a battle with democracy versus autocracy, buddy. What side are you on? You're sounding like Russia Today Rob right now. What are these Moscow talking points?
It's all you have. Every time we debate on this is why you said last time it was offered to debate, I like to stay in my bubble because you can't handle the facts.
Here it is. Rob's going to debate the process because you can't debate the content.
Right. Well, I'm going to tell you. For example, we talked about biolabs.
In your hug box. This is UIRI. Right. You can't get out of your echo chamber. I'm here, baby.
Okay. Right. You're here. Erudite, let me finish this point real quick. Erudite, let me finish this point.
Stop. Rob, finish your point and let Erudite go.
Very quick. All he has when we talk about the specifics is, that sounds like Russian talking points. This is good versus evil. It's fucking childish. It's a childish way to look at it.
Okay.
That's
I want to be a good little white woman and stop interrupting the men, okay? So
Thank you. About time. Trad life.
Yes, absolutely. Trad life, trad wife. So I'm curious, if you don't think, if U.S. hadn't intervened and all the other states that also intervened, if we didn't prolong the Ukraine issue, wouldn't it just mean that Russian imperialism would have won in that situation?
No, I don't think so. I think that Russia probably wouldn't have completely taken over Ukraine. I think that what the United States should have done was offer more of a carrot and stick approach and said, listen, we'll give you assurances that we'll remove these biolabs. We'll pull out of places like Syria. We'll give you assurances that Ukraine won't join NATO. In return, we're demanding that you allow the sovereignty of Ukraine. It's interesting. Like, it's kind of sounds similar to what Prime was talking. Go ahead.
If Russia took any of Ukraine, do you actually believe that they would be willing to negotiate other peace boundaries? What do you actually think would have happened if we hadn't intervened? You just think
if we want to know what would happen, we're gonna have to wait on the other end of this next round, guys. We're voting for the 2 finalists. Remember to vote to keep, not kick, as we come into the final round. Good luck, guys.
But yes, that is.
Guys, carry on.
That is what I'm saying. For example, Erudite, I could turn the question to you. A country like the United States that invaded Iraq, does that mean that there's never any possible peace negotiation that could ever be made with them because they didn't respect Iraq's boundaries?
I'm not doing a whataboutism. I want to focus on specifically Ukraine and American intervention.
Right. So I'm saying just like we've done throughout history many times when countries have...
Your argument right now is Putin is very trustworthy. If we make a couple concessions with him, it would be completely fine. Russia would step off and everything would be great. And I would argue that the history of Russia suggests that that is absolutely false. There is no way that we can trust Russia to just be like, yeah, we're chill now. We're not going to take over any more country. Promise. We'll just take a little bit of
So how's it end? We bomb them? Nuke them? How's it end? We can never trust Russia because of their history, right? So no matter what, as long as they have a military, they'll inevitably always invade.
Hold on. Stop.
Right?
Stop doing this. I never said we can never trust Russia because of history. I'm saying your argument is predicated that if we just conceded a little bit, if we hadn't helped Ukraine, they would have been steamrolled a bunch by Russia and lost a bunch of ground. You're saying, yeah, and then Russia would have just backed off because Putin's a good guy. He would have chilled.
That's not what I said. Show me one saying Putin was a good guy. Show me one. In fact, I think no, I'm not relying on that. No, I'm not relying. In fact, no, I'm not going to leave you filibuster over it. You get on your high horse when you say I said something that you didn't say. So now allow me to retort. I never said Putin was a good guy. I said the exact opposite. I said that they had agendas, the things that they wanted, and I thought that there would be reasonable carrot and stick approach we could have to just treat Russia like they're orcs, that because of their history, they'll always invade is nonsensical. I'm not saying that Putin's a good guy. I'm saying just like the United States, he would be strategic, and even though if it was possible they would just take over countries, the United States would do the same. I'm saying that there are ways we could have went about this to spare the people of Ukraine in a better way.
Chill for a second, guys. Are the results of the last poll public?
I can look.
Oh, they're not. Wow, okay. You guys can't see this, but
Okay.
What?
Go ahead. Rig it.
I'm not
Rig
rigging
it.
I'm
He's
not going to say
rigging it
who
for
is leading.
content.
First place right now has 450 votes. Second place has 450 votes, and third place has 448 votes. So
God damn! Holy
That's
shit!
great.
you guys need to vote
awesome.
right now because we are. Holy shit! We
I'm
are
fucking
neck
voting.
and
Fuck
neck.
this shit.
What?
That's dope.
I'm voting. What the fuck? I've
You
never voted.
guys-
on
How do you
Need
see
to
this ending,
vote.
Erudite?
For your finalists, okay?
How does this war end? How do you see it ending?
And what happens with China next, Rob? That's the question.
I see Russia backing off. I don't know if Crimea is ever going to be taken back. And I see probably a more neutral country negotiating peace, hopefully within the year. And I don't see any of Ukrainian borders getting pushed in at all. That's what I see.
I think that the
I don't
United
think
States
it's
should be
gonna be
leading the
left.
peace push. But to answer your question, IRI, which you've been very diligent, under Trump, before the Russia invasion, was the situation in
Wait,
Taiwan.
why would you say U.S. should lead the? You literally said that U.S. can't be trusted with this, but also U.S. should be.
No, I
leading
said
the
they
peace
can't be
talks?
trusted with invading, but they could be trusted. They could be the face of trying to issue a peace deal. Now, to ask you a question, IRI, was the conflict with Taiwan more likely 3 years ago or now?
It's more likely 3 years ago, for
No, it's
sure.
not true at all. It's
Yes, the world has sent a message to China.
No, that's
if you
bullshit.
even dare,
We'll see.
this is what will happen to you.
We'll
You'll
see.
be a pariah,
Heads up,
and you
guys.
will have your
We'll see.
military destroyed.
I'm closing
Guys-
this poll in 23 seconds, okay? Because it is so close. I'm just going to close it. This might be decided by like 1 to 2 votes, so I will be closing
Fucking
it.
vote!
Vote
Holy
on who
shit!
you want to vote for,
Awesome.
guys. Good
You
luck.
ex-
Guys, hold on. Quick reminder, by the way. We're not doing like a highest voted person gets to decide who to kick and keep. The fucking bottom, like the third person is gonna get kicked, right?
The bottom
The
bitch
third
is out.
person's gonna get, yeah, absolutely. So you better
One.
vote. Holy shit.
Oh, no, I fucked up.
What you mean? What happened?
I closed it. But it's closed with the bottom 2 being tied.
Okay,
It's-
it comes
the-
up to me and you wait, hold up. DM me who the bottom 2 are, and we just decide. Actually, yeah,
Well,
we'll
I
decide.
closed it so now people can see. Not so Erudite is in the lead. It's I'm Really Important and robnoerr tied. Actually tied.
Wow.
689 votes a pop.
I'm not picking.
Well, come on,
Okay.
that's an obvious
Okay,
choice right
okay,
there.
wait,
Come
hold
on, you
on.
got to
You
keep
know what
the
I'm gonna
content.
do? You know what I'm gonna do?
gotta get
I'm
Rob.
gonna
Don't
go
reopen
back.
it. Don't reopen it.
No, I'm
Don't
gonna do
reopen
another poll. We're gonna do another poll.
No, that's cringe. That's cringe. Don't do that.
How is it
Don't
cringe?
We're
do
going to have
We do a poll
Erudite
between-
and I debate? Come
No,
on.
no, no. We're gonna have a poll between I'm Really Important and robnoerr. That's what we have to do, right?
Well, you got to keep
Is it?
Rob.
Do
Come
we
on.
really need to have?
I don't care. I'm not
do you
going
have
to be
to do that?
offended either way.
Okay, no. This is what I suggest. Instead of the fucking poll, because they've had their fucking time, put a name in chat, right? DM me a fucking name. I'll DM you a name, and then that's the person that moves on. That's it.
Why? The will of the people.
Fuck the will of the people. We gave them fucking 3 minutes, and they decided on a tie.
Yeah, now we're doing the ranked choice voting, okay? We're very pro-democracy here. Boom. There
The
you
people
go.
are
Erudite and I
retarded.
are not
Let me
going to
just say
fight
that
over
one.
anything.
I feel like Destiny needs indicted. I feel like he's challenging the process, the electoral process here.
True.
I think that recent history has shown us that that's a crime. But
No, listen,
True.
I will sacrifice myself for the content. I think Erudite and I are going to just get along for 15 minutes.
Okay, well, if that's what you want to do, I love you.
You
I'm
are
recording.
an imbecile. I knew
What?
that from the beginning. Holy fucking
knew
shit!
what?
You couldn't just fucking you had to
What
put
was
it
going
up
to
in the
happen
chat.
anyways?
I'm just looking at the second poll, and Rob is edging at the second poll, so it's fine. That works.
Yeah, no shit. Okay, I know. Yeah, your fucking name is hard to say. Your name's fucking hard to say. Generic NPC white guy. I'm really important. Listen, I appreciate you for coming on. Right, you did well. Go ahead and shout yourself out, buddy.
Thank you, Quiznos. It's been a lot of fun. Destiny, I appreciate the platform. I had a lot of fun. I love fighting with Rob, even though I enjoy being my hug box. Erudite, always a pleasure. I go by I'm Really Important. I talk electoral politics, if you couldn't tell by all the crazy posters behind me. Coming out on Twitch and YouTube, that's where I stream. I'm Really Important. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on. I'm really important in chat, ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
Wow.
Did he disconnect on his own, or did you like move him?
He disconnected.
Okay, good. People are getting better at this shit. Nice. Okay. Congratulations to our finalists, Not So Erudite and Rob. Noir. I like Noir more than Nor, or however you... It's Noir, right? Did I get it right?
it's like the conjunction and/or for nor or the rice.
Nor.
Yeah, but you can call me whatever.
Rob
you give a
Nor.
shit. Yeah.
Okay, true. Then I'll call you baby. Okay, listen. You guys did great. I'm impressed. Rob, you're a fucking titan, buddy. Listen. People told me you gotta reach out to Rob. He's that guy, but you're not that guy. You're that nigga. You are fucking great, honestly. Okay, 10 out of 10.
Finally, someone says it. I've known it all along.
Goddamn right. Okay.
Is that the N-word pass though, or is that just?
Oh, he gets it easily. Oh, he gets the N-word pass easily.
Carantos doesn't even have an N-word pass. Why do you think he can give it out to other people? Okay.
Yeah, like that. I mean, listen. A certain cokehead said, listen, you could say the N-word as long as you can fight. I can't fight, so I can say it. Okay, I'm at home. Question number 5 and the final.
I didn't know he got the N-word pass from Zerka. My bad. Go ahead.
True. Okay, my black brother. Anyways, question number 5. Do you think that Joseph R. Biden is fit enough to lead the United States of America? If not, do you think that Donald J. Trump has a chance of being reelected, or do you see someone else becoming the United States president come next elections? This time, let's start with Erudite. Go ahead.
This is gonna be like the worst question for me. Do I think that, because I don't follow super closely like specific candidates, do I think Biden is fit to lead? I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I have a pretty big bias against, in general, really, really old people leading the government. I think, like, in general, if you're like over a certain age or below a certain cognitive proficiency, which I know technically they've all passed, I don't know. I just have a hard time with it. In general, I think like the age of most of our leaders, including Trump, also fucking old, is too high. And I think that there should be like space for like newer leaders. I don't think there's a massive conspiracy by any means. So is Biden better than Trump? Probably. But I'm a little bit black-pilled, I think, on a lot of American politics. Does Donald J. Trump have a chance? Probably. I think probably the biggest issue the left ran into last election with Trump, well, the first one, I suppose, is that we thought there's no chance. So yeah, probably. I think there's a lot of like MAGA stands, but I think DeSantis popping off might create like a rift within the conservative caucus itself and might split the vote. So, see.
I thought you would be a little more,
Sorry.
firm in his stance for the finals here. I'll go hard. I don't give a fuck. No, Joe Biden's not fit to be president. He never was. He wasn't morally anyways, even before he was a dementia-rattled old man. But certainly into this last 2020 campaign, he wasn't fit physically, and he wasn't fit corruptly because of all the corrupt actions that we know that he's been taking. Not just his quid pro quo, but other actions. He's been a disaster as president. He's just a puppet. For fuck's sakes, the Easter Bunny had to tell him where to go on the fucking Easter egg roll. He doesn't know where he's at. He literally won not campaigning the final 3 months of the campaign because he was coddled by social media companies and our mainstream media that pushed him around the edge, and basically people were just voting orange man bad, and that's what they were going. Now, Trump deserves some of that shit, don't get me wrong, right? I've criticized Trump probably more effectively than most of the left orange man bad people have done so I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve criticism, but he clearly is more cognitively with it than Joe Biden, who's constantly having one gaffe after another. I mean, we forget, we're saying that he's a moral guy and all this shit. The dude had to be browbeat into recognizing his granddaughter this week. When people criticized him or asked him questions, he would
Trump
call them...
didn't even recognize his ex-wife.
So what? Who gives a shit? Why don't we do a one-on-one debate? You can stop jumping in as moderator.
Here's where we're maybe differ. Okay, here's where we're differ. I think Joe Biden's cabinet is a lot of a stronger option than Trump's. I think in general, well, like Biden, I don't have a super strong opinion about either way. I don't really care. I think what really matters is about like the legion behind the individual that is actually like leading the government. And so in the case of Trump, I think a really big issue that I have specifically with him at just the cabinet level is like the high turnover rates, the firing. What we see in Trump, I'm sure maybe you would agree, is kind of this like deranged man baby running around, firing people, getting upset, literally on record sharing secrets and stuff. Whereas Biden seems to have a really solid team behind him. So I don't know if it's his choice, probably in large his choice, but behind him he's got a whole bunch of really solid, very politically like knowledgeable individuals that are helping leading. And I think the cabinet is where it's like really, really matters. I agree that like the Trump is bad thing is cringe, but maybe this is where we'll disagree.
Okay, so let me finish my opening real quick. So I think there's a solid chance that Biden won't be the nominee. I think that there's a solid chance that they'll use these controversies of him as an excuse to say, well, he's going out in the sunset, he did great, but Gavin Newsom's going to be the person that takes it. I think that there's a chance that happens. I would put it like a 40% chance that it's Gavin Newsom opposed to Joe Biden. I think that there's probably a 98% chance that Trump wins, particularly given these indictments, that he wins the primary. And I would say the chance of Trump or any other Republican winning the election because of the uphill battle that they'll face, maybe 2%. So I think that you're likely to see Biden or Gavin Newsom as the president next time. I think that both are terrible. When it comes to the cabinet, yeah, no doubt Trump appointed bad people, right? But it's because these institutions themselves, it's a shame that they are actually the ones that run the country, because almost all of them are unelected, as opposed to the elected people like Joe Biden that we elect. And they're absolutely corrupt, and they are absolutely exist to maintain that hegemony on power, and they will challenge anyone that they think will speak up against them. Joe Biden's cabinet is, if you just look, take corruption out of it. If we just look at the economy, they've been a disaster. Foreign policy, we're closer to World War III than any time since the Cuban Missile Crisis. If we look at immigration, we have an immigration crisis that now even Democrat mayors of New York City are saying, my God, this is a problem. Every single metric, it is an absolute abject disaster from the Biden administration. Every single one. He did worse under COVID. That was the thing that we said. He had, under the same amount of time period, he had more people die under COVID than Trump, and he already had the vaccine, which was his big plan to fight COVID, and he was unable to do anything any better than what Trump was able to do. That's not even to get into questions of corruption that we see from members of his cabinet and from himself that they're defending and things like that.
My understanding is that Biden has not actually been super disastrous for the economy at all. Also, there's a really common thing that occurs with like COVID and the economy in general, where we're like just blame like single man elected, when it's like, when it comes to the economy, for example, there's a lot of shit that they can't control and that they can control, right? And so like in the case of COVID, part of the effect for Biden in response to COVID is that he was picking it up after the mantle of Trump, which means that all the policy and all the effects under Trump are now in his hands. Same with the economy.
What did he do differently than Trump under COVID?
I don't want to talk about COVID.
Right. Because he did nothing different, right? And the truth is that's
no, that's not why. Hold on. Just to be clear, I'm being a suit. I just turned my YouTube back on. I just don't want to get into COVID.
Okay, that's
really boring reasons.
That's fair. Then let's talk about the economy, if you don't mind. We'll pivot to that. You say that the economy is not that bad. Inflation has been crushing. Real wages are down. Inflation was pretty low.
To blame this on Biden is like, to blame this on just like single strongman is silly, right? I'm sure you'd agree that like.
But what about his cabinet? You said you like his cabinet, so you're not blaming them?
Because when it comes to the economy, for example, just like saying like inflation's really high. It's like, of course it is. COVID happened. We all expected that. So the moment that you have a president after COVID, yes, inflation is going to be high. And then it's upon the Federal Reserve to help somewhat manage and mitigate that. To just blame economy and inflation on the president.
Then let's say, so then if we're saying that was an act of God, this virus, or an act of China, or Dr. Fauci funding China, whatever, like if we're to say that, and so no one had control over it, then let's compare Trump's economy without COVID versus anywhere near Biden's. How is that looking?
I'm not saying, okay, so you need to stop doing this thing where I'll make a claim and then you just expand it a whole bunch to other things. First of all, me saying that inflation is not solely responsible isn't saying the cabinet has nothing to do with any economic decision pattern. That's obviously not true. What I'm saying is that you pointed to, isn't inflation really high? And I said, of fucking course it is. COVID just happened. Yes, of course it's high. Inflation is high everywhere as a result of printing money, distinctly during COVID. But yes, that's not shocking.
But listen, we're comparing cabinets at this point. You're saying we're not pointing at one guy. We're looking at Trump's cabinet versus Biden's cabinet. So I say economics is one metric. So I'm saying, okay, the cabinet, despite the turnover and all that shit, the economy was humming along under Trump if we're taking COVID out. Well, how's it look under Biden?
I guess, which part of the economy do you want to look at? The economy is going to be super broad thing. Do you want to look at real estate? Do you want to look at employment rates? Like,
well, I would think that
for example, employment rates are down, but a large part of that is also because COVID ended, and so lots of people went back to work. So, like, what specific metrics
I think I mean the overall general health of the economy. Well, you at least say this.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
Like the average person that's trying to buy milk and pay their rent and shit like that, are they doing good? Did they lose their house to the mortgage? Are they unable to afford gasoline? Shit like that.
You're just talking about inflation again. You're literally.
It's not just inflation. It's not just inflation.
Everybody is struggling, but relatively speaking, the USA is doing pretty damn well. If you look at cost, for example, compare the US housing market to Canadian housing market. It's not even closely
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this then, because tell me if I'm steel manning you here. You're saying because of COVID, we can't really judge Biden's cabinet's position on the economy because it's been so fucked up. Is that fair?
No.
Okay, then what judgment do you have for them economically?
So I asked you specifically, which part of the economics do you want to get into? And then you said, well, what about this? And I said, and then you said, I think you specifically said, well, is the average person able to buy milk? And I said, now you're just pointing
Pay
back
the
at
rent,
inflation.
things like that. You mentioned
This
real
is-
estate, so I mentioned a bunch of things that it's not just about. You could say that those are all inflationary pressures that would have influence on that, but also things like wage growth and things like that would also GDP, all of that would factor in as well.
Saying that inflation is Biden and his cabinet's fault would be like saying that COVID is Trump's fault. It's ridiculous.
But my question is then what part of the economy? Okay, so then we're back to what I said. Is there any part of the economic progress or standard of the United States right now that we could evaluate, or do you say it's hard to evaluate
That's what
because
I'm
of COVID?
asking you. That's what I'm asking you.
I just.
You made the claim that the
Okay.
economy is super
Jesus
dang,
Christ.
that it's doing very poor. And I said, well, what metric are you measuring this on? And you said, well, the overall health of the
Right,
economy.
that's
So
what I said.
Which metric is that? Like GDP? And then you said, well, can
okay.
people buy milk? So now we've gone
Okay,
back again, which is inflation.
let me, since you're unable to answer the question, let me say that. Can you name me one metric, whether it be foreign policy, domestic policy, give me the metric that you think Biden has outperformed Trump if we're not evaluating COVID?
Okay. If we're not including COVID.
You said COVID's like an act of God. We don't want to talk about it. They couldn't help that. So other than that.
Okay. You're still, I don't even know how to say that. I'm not saying that COVID was an act of God and we can't talk about it. I don't want to talk about COVID specifically because I don't want to get into COVID conspiracy because I'm on YouTube.
Okay.
Second of all, the effect that COVID had on the economy is occurring during Biden's presidency. But to blame that now on Biden is silly. That's what I am claiming.
Dude, I'm just asking you to tell me what you think Biden did better than Trump. It doesn't
I
have to be
asked you
economy. It doesn't have. I just
You
said
made
you
the
could
claim.
literally pay. Listen, this is what's happening. We're evaluating, in your words,
Which
the
metric?
cabinet.
Which metric do you think that Biden is underperforming on? Which metric? Because you said
The
people
economy,
can't
foreign
afford-
policy, immigration, corruption.
Which part of the economy? You
the-
can't just say the economy. Which
My
part?
God. So, okay, inflation.
Okay. So what policy do you think that Biden has done that has led to greater inflation? And what part of Biden do you think has responded poorly to in response to inflation?
I think that Biden and his party and his cabinet that push for things like lockdowns and push for massive money printing have led to inflationary pressures. That they've continued those policies longer than they should have, which has caused inflation in this country. That's what I think. Now, I turn the question to you, please.
No, stop. Do you think inflation is inherently bad?
I think that at these levels it is. Some small amount of inflation is inevitable and probably a good thing. But the inflation we've seen.
So what policy would you like to have seen Biden and his cabinet pass to curb the inflation and manage it better?
I think they should have stopped printing money, the M2 money supply. I think that they should have opened up sooner and made sure that they were encouraging and sending the message to people to get out and to have commerce as they had in the past. Now, before you filibuster all the time, I would like to turn this to you. You said that you think that Biden is a net benefit to Trump. I'm literally asking for one fucking area in one policy, in like foreign policy, domestic policy, etc., that you think that Biden did better.
We might
She can't do it.
Never get that answer because we are at the ultimate final poll.
Saved by the
for
bell,
our
ladies
show,
and gentlemen.
guys. Oh my gosh.
I can't believe I get blamed for filibustering by robnoerr so often. It's so
Crazy,
frustrating.
right? Was that projection or just intelligence? Probably
I think
both.
projection.
No.
Yeah, I think
You,
projection.
I mean, it's a pretty simple question. If I say I prefer Trump to Biden, you'd say why? I'd say X, Y, Z. You can't name one thing.
Okay, we weren't just printing money for shits and gigs. It wasn't just like a fun time and we're like, I love dollars. I love paper so much. God, it smells so good. We weren't like being like, oh, we should have just stopped printing money. Okay, then how else would you have managed, for example, some of the serious issues of cash not being influxed into the economy because of lack of buying and lack of spending power that people had, in large part because of COVID and because of wage losses? What do you want us to do with that?
It wasn't because of COVID. It was because of the reaction to COVID. It's because we intentionally locked down the world economy, which then predictably, as I was saying at the time, would lead to disastrous economic effects. Then the same people, like those in the Biden administration that cheered on those policies of lockdown, said, oh, fuck, we're not going to take blame for that. Instead, we'll say you have to give us more power to now print money. Then they said that won't cause inflation. Then when it did, they said, oh, shit, now you need to give us more power. They constantly exacerbate the
lockdowns
problem.
happened under Trump.
That's true. That was the worst part.
And
Yep.
we were printing money for COVID support to try to maintain programs and try to create a bit of a bullish market. That's why we were printing money.
I understand why they said it caused inflation. They were wrong. It was not good to do lockdowns and massive money printing. But nonetheless, you still were unable to give one area that you basically you're just like, well, Trump
I
and Biden
literally
did the
listed-
same
I
thing
said-
on this particular issue.
No, hold on. I did in the way you did. I said, for example, there's way more jobs under Biden, and there's a lot less people who are unemployed. But we could also argue that's because COVID ended partway through, and so that's a large reason why people went back to work.
Right, and
I
so we
literally
agreed.
listed one metric.
We
that were
agreed
doing
for
much
two
better under.
reasons. We agreed for two reasons not to evaluate COVID. One, YouTube terms with service. But secondly, because you said basically, well, it's so crazy that there's nothing really we could have done about it. So we're not evaluating Biden's like, well, the economy's
That's
a
not what I
disaster.
said.
That's what you
That's
were
not what I
implying
said.
heavily. That we
No.
couldn't look at the inflation. That it is what you said. You said that it wasn't. We couldn't evaluate the economic performance because, well, a lot of it's because of COVID.
No, I said when people say things like, well, how did the economy do under Biden? You're doing the thing that everyone fucking does, which is brain dead. And both sides do it, by the way, which is being like, oh, well, the economy, inflation went up during Biden, so Biden's bad for the economy, which is a massive... I don't understand the economy very well. And I understand enough of economics to know that there is no way that you can make that statement and in any way be informed on how things like economic movement occurs. Like, that's ridiculous. It's such a ridiculous claim.
Both of
That's
you,
what I said.
stop, Rob. 1 second. Before we announce the winner, I would like to give one more shout out to our wonderful sponsor, HelloFresh, ladies and gentlemen. The link should be pinned in Lil Steve's chat, right? Use code SHOWGG7111, Lil Steve. We're gonna have a long conversation after this fucking show ends. Let me just say that much. How's the poll looking, by the way? You wanna give us a
The poll is pretty done. Pretty done, so.
I could tell. And from the way you said it, I could tell what the fuck just happened. Okay, go ahead. Announce the
What do you mean
winner,
you can
please.
tell what just happened? What does that mean?
Do you want me to predict the winner like I did last time?
Oh my
That's
god, you're gonna
basically
predict
what
the
I'm
winner with two people? Holy shit! How can you do
Yeah,
that?
it's
You must be
50%
Nostradamus.
chance. You know what I mean? Yeah. Dickhead, you get what I'm trying to fucking say, you asshole. Use the gun in the back. Anyways.
On you?
Nice one. El Riz,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, this round has come to an end. You have both made it. There's no losers. Actually, there is one loser, but you still made it to the finals. You did great. Okay. I want some W's in chat for Erudite and Rob, please. But there can only be one winner, ladies and gentlemen, and that is... Let's Steve, come on. At least give me some drum rolls. What the fuck? Hit the table or some shit. What the fuck? He sent the email. There we go. The winner of episode 9 of Kick or Keep is... Not so Erudite!
Oh, really?
Wow. You couldn't even like draw it out or make it dramatic?
No. Listen,
You
we
couldn't
keep
even
it
say my
short and
name
sweet
right.
already.
You gotta say my name
It's
right.
Erudite. It's Erudite, okay? That's how I fucking know it. Congratulations, Rob. Commiserations. Listen, it was 1v1 million the whole way through. You made it to the end, okay? They don't call you a bear for no reason. And no, it's not because you're a homosexual. You are 100% straight, married, hopefully kids, no kids, kids soon. You know what I mean? Life's good. But, Rob, I would like you to take all the time in the world to shout yourself.
Oh my goodness. Well, I could talk for a long time. First off, I'd say 99% straight, you know. It was a lot of fun.
Hey.
I'm not surprised I lost, but I don't give a shit. It's all for fun anyways. So, my name's robnoerr. I'm a populist conservative. You can find me on like Twitch, Kick. I'm Normal America with robnoerr on YouTube, so you can check me out there. I love doing these debates. I particularly like the one-on-one debates. I understand that Destiny's left-leaning audience might prefer Erudite because they agree with her politically, and maybe, just maybe she's more appealing to the eyes than me, though. I find that hard to believe. I really do. But no, I enjoyed it. I had a good time. All I ask for these panels is an opportunity to speak, and despite the fact that I have incredible disagreements with probably the majority of the people that are on these panels, at least I'm given a chance to speak, so I think the moderation's fine. I thought it was good. I enjoyed it. If anyone wants to do any one-on-one debates or anything like that, be happy to do that. I'd be happy to come back on the show again. So thanks for having me. I'm out.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Rob.
See ya.
Thank you for coming on.
Yep. All right, let me get back to here. That was exactly how I predicted, as I did earlier. I said I'll make it to the last round for the content. But I kind of predicted that would happen. I knew I wasn't going to beat Erudite. She's a big... what's the word I'm looking for? Hanger on. Is that the word? member of the Destiny community. I don't give a fuck though. But yeah, I had a good time. I mean, I think you could see, like with people like I'm really important. I would have loved to debate him the whole way through. It was fun to debate Erudite at the end too. They just have no fucking yeah, Crucible, definitely. Nice to see you, man. You know, they have no fucking clue on the specifics. None of them. None of them do. You know, I thought it was funny Prime got kicked on the one topic where he actually had shit to say, which was kind of funny. It was like Prime was all excited, like, oh, Hiroshima, I got shit to say. And they gave him the boot then. I was like, I don't know. I kept him around based on his performance that topic. But it's most of the time not really based on what happened on that particular topic. But I don't really give a shit. Her prize is Tiara. I'm not going to say the end of that. But yeah, I mean, you could see, like, there's so many things, you know, once the panel's shrunk, you can see the lack of details they have. You know, like, I'm really important. He just constantly makes these, oh, well, you're Russia's talking points. Oh, yeah, the people Trump appointed were biased against him. They have no fucking clue. Right, it would have been either, if they would have kicked me first, Fabian would have taken second, because they need someone to argue with, which I understand. But I like being 1-on-5. It don't fucking bother me at all. But they can't keep up on the specifics of it. They can't. Like, at least someone like Destiny could hang a little rhetorically, even though he's wrong on the details of so much of this shit. Man, he's incredibly biased, of course. But at least he could rhetorically keep up. People like I'm really important and Erudite can't. And I'm not saying that to, like, insult them. That doesn't mean they can't be good streamers or I wish ill on them. I'm not saying any of that shit. I'm not. I'm just saying it's not their forte. Like, you could see... I mean, I'm not ready for this topic. You're on a political talk show, and the topic is Trump or Biden. You're like, I don't really have an opinion. I mean, does it get more milquetoast than that? She literally, I mean, how fucking funny is that she could not name one thing that she thought Biden did better than Trump? Not one. She couldn't name one. And I gave her multiple opportunities. I was like, you could say anything domestic policy. She couldn't name one. Yeah, I mean, it is. People are that blind. That's true. I hear you, Crucible Limited. I expected it, though. I really did. I knew it was. But, you know, it is what it is. So, you know, I just don't. Like, all of them when it comes to, you know, at least Prime was talking about stuff on that Hiroshima topic. I'm not a big history buff, you know, I'll be honest with you. Not when it comes to that sort of shit. I'm open to hearing it. I really am. You're not going to, you know, find a staunch person in me that's like, yep, every military action that's ever been taken by the United. Thank you so much, Just Vaughn, for the follow. Everyone for the follows, the subscriptions, and the donations. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So I'll listen to people. You know, no problem there. But, you know, that topic and the alien topic, not really my forte. But the rest of the topic, the free speech, they just have nothing to say. I thought that was the most telling, by the way. And I wish that topic would have been towards the end. The very first topic where we were talking about free speech being important to this country and do we see free speech being eroded. I thought that was a great topic and I really enjoyed talking about that. And we brought it to specifically talking about COVID shit that was censored, and they just kept saying, you lied and you spread misinformation. What was the misinformation that I spread? What was it again? They just assert. I said, for example, we know that they censored a joke. And they said, you said it was just a joke. I never said that a joke couldn't contain disinformation. I never said that. I said they censored a joke. That's what they did. And I'm really important tries to be like, well, what about a joke that you could put up that would cause people to miss voting? And I was like, yeah, you should be allowed to do that. Oh, but it was illegal, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, right. And they went after the Republican guy that did it, but not the Democrat that did it. And he's like, well, that's because he conspired with other people. And I was like, is the joke legitimate or not? And he's like, basically he said, well, when the Democrats did it, it was okay because it didn't influence as many people. But that's not how we set laws up. You can't be like, we'll give the government the power to jail people for jokes, for memes, but only if it meets some metric in our head that it affected enough people. That's horseshit. Either it's illegal or it's not. I don't think it should be illegal. Now, if there is processes that occurred that were like, oh, but you were doing this and this and you all this other shit beyond the joke, maybe that's the difference. But take a fucking stand, IRI. Say, okay, the meme was okay. But he can't do that. And then they kept saying I was lying. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Again, the meme in question that was censored was Leo DiCaprio from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the meme where he's got like the cigarette and pointing to the screen, and it said the screen was saying, if you've ever taken the COVID vaccine 10 years from now, like you see those daytime TV commercials, it's like, if you got this hip replacement, there's a lawsuit, blah, blah, blah. They're like, that's disinformation. How is that disinformation? Is it your argument that there aren't side effects to the vaccine? Are you clairvoyant that you know in 10 years that there won't be lawsuits or class action lawsuits against these companies? Because there's already lawsuits in other countries. Now, you might not like it. You might say, well, okay, I can't prove that that's disinformation, but I think it sends a signal that will cause people to take an action that I feel is bad for them. Right, that's the point, which is exactly what my criticism is. You define disinformation as shit that causes people to do things that you don't like. It doesn't matter if it's true or not, or if it's an opinion. It doesn't matter. Their only metric is, we don't like it. We think it causes harm. Therefore, we're going to call it disinformation. What's up, neighbor guy? Thank you. I think I did very well tonight. It's not that I dish gallop, right? It's that it's difficult when there's that many people. Like, for example, I dish gallop. At one point in the Ukraine conversation, I literally had responding to Destiny, Erudite, and IRI at the same time, right? Gish gallop's just a way of people saying, like, Erudite, almost anytime anyone interrupted me and said, wait, on that point, I let them go. And we discussed that point. My downfall was that it's against the law. Well, right, that's my point. It shouldn't be against the law. That there is an attack on free speech. That's exactly my point. It's not lying. That's the point. They're proving my point. Right. They literally jailed a guy for a fucking meme. Right, that's my point. He said, should it be illegal? I said, no, it shouldn't be. So how's that a downfall? How's that a gotcha? But that was that. So I hope you all enjoyed it. Listen, since I have some people watching, sorry I couldn't stream this on Twitch. So if you're watching from Twitch and you're on a different platform, Destiny's banned on Twitch, so I can't stream to Twitch. Blame Twitch's shitty TOS. Consider following me on Rumble, Kick, Twitter, and YouTube. I'll put the links out there. One thing I want to say that I feel that it's important to hear. Listen, if you're like me and you think that sort of this country is being eroded with our constitutional protections like the First Amendment and things like that, and they're literally jailing their opposition at this point, and that's really bad, you have to understand, they're trying to provoke a reaction from you. They're trying to provoke someone to do something stupid, and eventually someone will do something stupid. I will continue to forcibly say I'm against political violence because I think it's immoral, and I also think that it's unstrategic at this point. I think that both of those things are true, but I'm against it for both of those reasons. But just because, you might be really bummed out by what happened to Trump and stuff today, first off, this shit's I've been telling you it's going to happen since 2020, that they're going to jail him. So this was inevitable. Secondly, they've already been jailing average Joes like me and you, right? It's not worth getting so upset that it physically causes harm to you or causes you to do something completely irrational if you can't have any change on that outcome. The truth of the matter is there is nothing me or you or any of us watching can do about Donald Trump's legal problems right now. It's going to go to the Supreme Court. They'll probably drop it at the Supreme Court, but he will be convicted in D.C. He will be. I've told you that that's what's coming. So remember, the things that are important to you, if you're religious, your relationship with God, even if you're not, the things that are important, can you look at yourself in the mirror? Does your family love you? Do your close friends love you? Are you doing right by them? Those are the most important things. So please, 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 don't lose your fucking head. And it's the same thing I said to people going into January 6th, and I've been saying for years. And I know it sounds patronizing, and I don't try to come across that way. I take this shit very seriously. I think I'm as passionate as it comes when I'm arguing for this shit. But when I'm done here, I do things. I try to get people to register to vote. I go to Republican meetings and things like that. I try my best to push for the politics and the culture that I think's best for this country. But at the end of the day, the things that are really important to me are right downstairs right now, and I'm about to go hang out with them. My wife, my son. So don't give in to super black pill and, you know, depression and shit like that. There's something out there for you. So that's all I wanted to say today. I know days like this, people get really depressed. I actually see the optimism in it. I think either people will wake up and see how corrupt this is, that they're targeting political opponents, or it'll lead to tit for tats, where the other side will say, fine, fuck it, we'll go after people as well. Or it will accelerate how bad shit'll get. And if you want to be petty, here's a way to think of all those fucking lefties that are cheering this on right now. Just read Gulag Archipelago. Look at the history of the Soviet Union or Mao's China. It'll come for them too. So whatever it takes to keep you happy, but keep smiling, be happy. Thank you so much for the support you give me. Hopefully I'll be on later this week as well. Maybe tomorrow, maybe Friday. I'm going to try to make sure I'm live streaming at least 3 days a week here coming in the future. Try to set up some debates and things like that. Maybe they'll have me on Kick or Keep. I'm not really interested in talking non-political topics. Like, I don't give a shit to talk about Andrew Tate really, or Zerka, or I don't have much to say about that. Or, you know, I have my opinions on the best way to live life, but I try not to get involved in other people's fucking relations. I don't give a shit if, you know, so-and-so cheated on someone or someone's marriages. I don't really give a shit about that stuff, you know. Not saying that you're a bad person if you like that stuff or if you have insightful things to say. It's just not my forte. That's it. You know? So a lot of those sorts of debates I don't get involved in, but always open to do some debates. I'll reach out. I'll poke at Lycan and I'm Really Important and Erudite. See if they want to do some one-on-one shit. Maybe our friends at the Crucible can moderate it. It'll be fun. So we'll see if we can get something like that. So thank you all so much. I really appreciate each and every one of you. Enjoy this bang-ass outro music, which I forget the name of it, but I will bring it up and I'll tell you their name once I play it a little. And I should be seeing you soon. Normally if I stream, it's going to be around 8 or 9 p.m. It was a little early today, so... did I see AJW crush Sam Cedar? No, but I'm not surprised. Never interacted with AJW. Really like him. Would love to talk to him. I think that me and him are two of the better debaters that you see that come from the right side of things. And I think it's a shame that people like me, you know, when you see people like Vosh or Destiny get to go on Tim Pool, that they don't have someone like me that's able to go on there and push back against it. You know, it's a shame. AJW is good, though, and he does get those opportunities sometimes, so I think he's one of the good ones. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm going to hang out with my family. As always, have a good one. The song is As You Were by the band Track Tribe. It was free use on YouTube's music library. So Track Tribe, check them out. The song's As You Were. Thanks so much. Have a good one.